Hopefully I don't have the same problems I had when I tried streaming last night. Hello, my friends. Welcome. 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 This is... Oh, my God. I don't even have my notes open. I have them open. I just don't have them... Oh, my God. I'm on the last page of my notes. Jesus. Okay, here we go. There we go. Now I can do my spiel. There we go. Welcome. Welcome to the Dominion. I am Omar Krieg. I'm absolutely 1,000% ready and prepared. Not at all flustered. Your Lord and Commander of the Krieg Dominion and your host for tonight's events. This 13th episode of Second Star, a Traveler 2300 role-playing experience, Season 2, entitled Salvage, Extract, Return. I am the storyteller, game master, referee, whichever term you like best. Use it. That's what I am. With me, of course, are my three normal crazies, my players and their characters. So let's check in on them real quick and see what's new and exciting for them. I'm not going to ask the same question, actually. I'm going to ask this question. Starting with Charles. Charles, my friend.
Gobble, gobble.
What is your preferred side dish? If there were 27 different sides available for tomorrow's Feast of Gluttony, Feast of Harvest, what would be the one that you would overload your plate with?
That's easy. It is the stuffing with the giblets and gizzards inside of it.
Nice.
Yep.
And layered,
God. And layered with the gravy.
And layered with the gravy, of course. This is bullshit. I'm trying to type a chat message in my Streamlab OBS to my stream. Me, the guy running the stream. So I'm trying to type a chat message to my stream, and it wants me to log in. What kind of BS is this?
Because you're not the administrator.
I am the administrator, I thought. And I don't even remember oh my God, hold up. No, that's not it. I was just totally, oh my God. All right. Who's next? Wiggle, same question. If you had all these different slides in front of you for tomorrow's Feast of Giving Thanks, what would be the one that you're going to overload your plate with?
My mom used to make this apple, onion, bacon, sausage stuffing that was pretty good.
Wait, apple, maple, bacon?
Apple, onion, bacon, sausage stuffing.
I wasn't trying to remember a 6-digit code that I had to be sent. I would have remembered it. But you know what? I don't care. I heard apple and bacon and something else. Onions.
Apple, onion, bacon, sausage stuffing.
That's amazing. That sounds delicious.
It was very good. That or dragon bread.
Dragon bread? What is dragon bread?
It is a stuffed bread with cheeses, meats, and sauce. Generally, it's kind of like a calzone, but like the bread's more thick.
Okay. All right. I'd try it. That sounds pretty good, actually. I'll try it out. Rodance has answered with 3 different things. So you got to pick one, my friend. You got to pick one. You can only have one. That takes us to Thurgor. Thurgor. Same question, my friend. What is the one side that you are going to overload your plate with?
Well, I have to split hairs here a little bit. First, we have to distinguish the difference in stuffing and dressing. Stuffing goes inside a bird, and dressing is made outside the bird.
Okay, all right.
So,
but they're almost the same thing.
kind
Ingredients,
of, but not really. Probably similar, yeah. So for me, it's dressing that has chicken in it.
Chicken? But you already got...
Yep.
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. Please continue.
With giblet gravy, and that's all I eat except for dessert. I just fill my entire plate up with just dressing and gravy.
A man after my own heart.
Okay, Rodance, I'm gonna give you that one. You definitely covered your ass there. Crescent rolls with baked turkey salad that has cranberries in it. So basically, the side is gonna be all of that. Listen, okay, all right, Wiggles, fuck you. God damn it, I made it to 4.5 minutes before I dropped the bomb. Okay, all right. First off, bacon is the shit. Okay, just plain and simple. Bacon is a side all on its own, and it's a meal. It's not so much a side, but an entire meal replace. All right, bet. All right. Since I asked you guys that question, I feel like I am obligated to answer it myself. Honestly, for sides, I usually, stuffing is pretty much where it's at. I think that's pretty much my go-to. I will definitely try to grab up a bunch of stuffing. I got nothing against any of the other potential sides, but that's the one that I'm probably going to go with, unless somebody's got some sweet potato casserole. But let's be honest, sweet potato casserole really is a dessert getting away with being served as a side, which makes room for pumpkin pie, of course. But I digress. Yeah. So, previously on Second Star, we get another montage because I don't know why, but I'm digging the montage. We have a brief clip of the firefight, and then departing Beowulf, and then spotting a stealth ship, and then repairing satellites, and then opening the station. I can't keep saying and then. I'm waiting for somebody to just interject and be like, no more and then. Where am I? Opening up the station. We see some cross-country driving through some very rugged mountainous terrain, arriving at the Penobot base, being captured by screaming football spaghetti things, interacting with Frank and Llewellyn, and then the cross-country trek to the crashed ship, the whole point of coming up here in the first place. Digging around in the mud and muck to get inside, exploring the ship, darkness, swaying flashlights, rope guides, missing missile components, resin-like goo near the ship's vault, disturbed dead bodies, a vac-suited captain, also dead, and a pouch of dog tags, and the setting sun dropping low behind the mountain peaks, cold, dark, windy, and air that you can't breathe. And as we transition from that final shot in the opening montage of what had happened previously, fades out to a completely black screen. And then after a moment, typing begins in the bottom left corner of the screen. 20th June, 2297. A planet appears before us, a blue ball in the inky black of space, resolving into a closer view of this watery planet. 2 continents appear as the camera pans around the planet, going from the dark side to the light side. Still, we zoom in closer until the screen is filled with the lazy curvature of the planet and a 3/4 top-down view over what appears to be a small city or colony. Shapes, a lot of them, looking like angular ovals, dart into view and descend rapidly, all aiming for the core of that city, rockets flaring and landing gear extending. The ship set down amidst a chaotic scene of surprise and despair, and troop ramps descend to the ground. Ships disgorge their cargo, dozens of troops, armed and armored from one, vehicles from another, ordnance and mortars from yet a third. Every one of them bears a patch on a shoulder, a flag, dark, and in the center a golden circle, around which another circle with a blue dot at an odd angle, and that motif then repeated at a smaller scale around that blue dot. The camera fades even as there is resistance to these newcomers, and shots are fired. In the last second of the darkness before transitioning to another view, we can still hear those shots, and they quickly ramp up into a heavy fire from multiple weapon systems. And then the view returns from on high, descending down into the night over Grendel, and finally coming to the vaguely definable and not well lit work site of the Grendelborn, crash site of the Durandal. And then Thurgor says into somebody had to. Yes, sweet potato casserole. My grandmother has a recipe for that. That and I don't know what it's called, but basically it's a lime green jello thing that has like pineapple and pecans or walnuts or something like that. A bunch of other stuff in there. Those were like traditional side dishes in my household or in my youth. Getting back on track. Today is. I just realized I'm on the wrong screen. Let me switch that over real quick. Today, there we go. We are actually on the 22nd of June, even though the montage showed the 20th. So 2 days ago, some planet was attacked by people with a weird flag on their shoulder. We are currently sitting at Omar's pre-gaming for the holidays. I'm not actually pre-gaming. You know what I had for dinner tonight? 3 hot dogs and a handful of Cheez-Its. So, at any rate, my memory serves. We had something like a number, I don't remember the exact numbers, but we had a number of combat vac suits. We had a number of rifles, shotguns, pistols, cases of grenades, a technical manual, a pouch of dog tags, potentially a couple of dead bodies, including the captain who's still inside his vac suit. I feel like I'm forgetting like one or two more things.
I got the list.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody has. I have a list. I just
we
don't.
had rockets.
We have
We
missile
had shuttle
bodies.
rockets. Yeah.
We have the
Missile
missile
bodies,
bodies, but
And
not
then
the
something
not
in
the
those
warheads.
composite containers.
Yes, those containers that you guys actually spent some time separating from the shelves to which they had been wired or locked or whatever. Because as I went through that whole explanation of what this might look like, I forgot that there was actually an image in the original PDF that I was referring to, and of course I haven't done any Photoshop stuff with it. But yeah, we have a number of things inside the Durandal that you guys actually spent the last few hours of fading sunlight and the first couple of hours of dark offloading and transloading onto the Grendelborn. And so it is about 35 to 38 hours before the sun comes back up again. And you guys are all inside the Grendelborn. What are we looking at? What are we doing? It's been a long, long, long day for everybody at this point. Dr. Jackie Smith Daniels was had initially volunteered to stay in the Grendelborn to keep an eye on things from there. Also felt like she should just get in the way because this is not at all her wheelhouse.
So what Hellwig's doing is in the process of trying to make sure the cargo's strapped down and then making sure that this vehicle is ready to go without major issues. So we'll and then he'll sit down and start going through the pre-drive checklist.
Okay.
Yeah, so we set up the work lights and we're getting everything loaded up, and Wyatt has found the black box because he was looking where that was in the operator's manual we found.
Yeah, let me about that tech manual. Who has it? Who has the physical? I think Milligan has it because didn't you pull
Milligan.
out didn't you pull out the memory drive and slap it into a wrist port or something silly like that?
A hand comp. I didn't attach it to myself to start with. I used my hand comp to start with to make sure it wasn't going to burn it up or something.
Yeah, that's right.
And it transferred and then marked the original as having been copied.
There you go.
I think the chip is probably going to get lost here before too much longer, but I'm going to allow everybody to make copies, either from me or off of the chip themselves.
Yeah,
I would think
Sorry.
it's better to do it off the copy first to see if it works, and if it does, then only copy the copy.
You're gonna make a copy of the copy, not the copy of the original.
And I can do that myself to start with. I can.
Yeah, you just mentally command yourself Control C, Control V.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Or no. You have to do Control A, Control C, Control N for new document, then Control V.
Yeah, but really all
and then change the file name because it's going to go -12 with some number.
Yeah, right.
I just gotta wiggle my eyeballs just right.
Yeah. So then, all right. So Milligan, when you guys are back inside the Grendelborn, Grimaldi within minutes is extricating himself from his hazmat suit. I keep saying hazmat. It's not hazmat. It's hazardous environment. There is a slight distinction in the difference there, but anyway. Grimaldi is popping out of that suit just as fast as he possibly can, and he is coming over to you, and he says, in his, because I have to remind everybody, in his weird combination Scottish and Italian accent of English, he says, could I get a copy of that technical manual? And then he'll wait for... Sorry, go ahead.
No, that was just a single internal damn it.
Okay. That was you, not Milligan. Going,
right,
God damn it, I gotta do all that again. Control A, Control N, Control V. I forgot Control C, but you know what I meant.
Right. I tell him I'll have to talk to Wyatt first.
I mean, we all saw the same thing. What? And he's right there. I am picturing, by the way, the internal compartment of this Grendelborn, even and partially because of the size of the vehicle that's been represented, also given the fact it's supposed to have like uh essentially a working area and labs and life support for 2 weeks, which means like food and water and all that. I feel like there's not a lot of room to maneuver inside. At any rate, I'm picturing all of us inside, and so Grimaldi's gonna be like, he's right there. Could you, hey, Wyatt, is it okay if I get a copy? I'm being a little smartass, and I don't know if Grimaldi really would have been, but he's like, I want to see this manual. This is the whole point of this expedition for me to come up here. This is what my book and everything is going to be all about. And then he takes a breath, and you can see he's doing some form of counting to 10. Not necessarily from anger, but just like the overly anxious or excited.
I'll put my hand up for just a second.
Uh-huh.
And I'll say, I don't do this to deny you, but this is a very classified document. And if you reference it in your book,
I have to cite my source. Yes, I know. I am a professor. You know that, right?
Right. I'm just worried about the problems that it might cause you if you reference material from that manual.
Oh, because I myself don't. I understand
What the
French
French might
conflict
do.
worried about. Okay, well, he's gonna start kind of bravadoly. I don't know if that's a word or not, but he's gonna start. He's gonna be like, I
It's
don't
not.
care what
That's
the
just made up gibberish.
it's fine. I do gibberish very well. No, he definitely starts off really cocky. It's like, I don't care about the French. He's like, actually, the French can be a major pain in my ass. So it is
Right.
their ship. Well, it's ours now, but yeah,
It's their arm.
yeah, it's their arm. This whole section of the galaxy is theirs.
So you're always going to run into French. So, I'll let you look at it, but I really would not advise you using it as any kind of source.
Well, I mean, once I have the copy, I guess that would be up to me to make that determination. And if I do cite it, I guess I'll have to share with the French government, file some more forms to get appropriate access authorization and ability to reference. And he starts going off in some, I don't want to.
I'll just turn at that point. I'll let him go off, and I'll just turn to Wyatt and I'll say, "What do you think?"
Yeah, he's definitely doing some sort of not really Spanglish,
okay.
but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So why goes okay? So my issue is it's probably not much of a real issue, but my issue is the fact there's no way for you to use the document, which then doesn't entangle us with that mess, right? There's no way to reasonably show that we weren't aware of or previewed to that document, which you are now going to expose publicly, right?
Was that a question for Grimaldi or was that for Milligan? Sorry.
It's to the room.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. By the time you already see. Let me back up. So Grimaldi is over on a bunk, in one of those life support module part of the cabin or whatever.
Oh, it's not my.
And he's just like, yeah. I got nothing. I want to take a look at it so I can see what's in there.
I love beautiful popcorn. Thank you, Quinn. You don't have to go.
Uh-oh.
Does he have? I'm sure he does. He has some kind of portacomp or whatever, right?
Yeah. He's got some sort of tablet that if you throw the document on there, he could read it.
Right.
And it's really like I think at this point it's more like not idle curiosity, but like this is his Christmas present. He wants to open his presents. It's Christmas Day. It's Christmas morning. Come on, let him open his present. He's been inside the ship, and he's got the Bible of this thing. He wants to know how all the parts work.
Yeah, no. So the other thing Wyatt will then say after he airs that agreement is like, I think that we're going to be in a fair amount of spotlight for the French government, regardless to what we do, because even though this is clearly abandoned and derelict,
yeah, did you see all that ice out there?
And therefore clearly salvage. I suspect the French government's going to throw a tizzy fit anyway. So
What
I'm not
governments
really
do.
sure how much more trouble releasing the operating manual is going to be. I just to make our lives easier to any amount, if there's anything in relevant to encryption or identification through sensor information about the ship, don't print that. Because as much as we are in our clear right to get this ship, we are definitely not in the clear right to expose classified documents and get sent to prison due to violating a attack.
And I'm nodding the whole time there. Yeah.
Oh, and I mean, Hellwig is just sitting there rattling off law code of this and that, and per subsection da 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 da, and so
Leave
on and
it
so
to the
forth.
investigative officer type to throw out the
Yeah,
regulation
no.
references.
So
I just want to point out
if you
that by
want
this point in the conversation, and this conversation can absolutely continue, but I just want to point out that at this point right now, Grimaldi is on his back, in his bunk, out like a light.
Good.
I'm just going to point that out. He is out. And the time it took to get to this point in the conversation, he has fallen asleep.
Give him a
don't
med
publish,
kit and let's dose him up.
anything which would compromise other ships and the current French fleet
Right.
actions.
They could charge
I
us with
don't want
crimes
to be
against France
involved.
and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to be culpable in any way with a French destroyer getting knocked out because we let go what their drive sensor system is or what their effective sensor range is for thermographics. I don't want
The
I don't want that
operating
to happen.
system on their targeting equipment.
Yeah, no.
So
I
this
don't want that to be a
manual,
thing.
this manual was the crew manual. So
Yeah.
I'm sure there's other more technical manuals that we don't have, and like
Yeah.
procedural
I'm just providing
manuals.
like a rough guideline. I mean, I think
Yeah.
we're gonna get our ass kicked by the French regardless. But
Right.
let's not give them also knives. Do you hear what I'm saying?
I understand completely. I think we should just keep it quiet. I think we should say we've never found it, and we just keep the information for ourselves so that we can use it where appropriate on the ship. Because it has all like the crew procedures and all that kind of stuff about all their systems. But we shouldn't release to the public any of that information because it's classified. It's still classified. Those other ships probably still exist. I imagine the French might think about this, the possibility that we have some other classified documents. And as terms for the salvage, I bet you anything there's going to be an NDA and all sorts of stuff.
So, real quick, I'm going to interject as the GM here because my guy is out snoring and the other teacher lady is digging around in some goo. This is a direct quote from the book. It says this: "It is the crew operations manual for the protected courier variant of the standard Iconic class frigate. Note that protected couriers have never been identified, and any details on the type are considered secret. This manual names all 4 of them as of at least 2283. These couriers are all externally identical to normal Iconics." However you say that word. So, this is not just a crewman's user guide. This is like, at least this is the way I'm interpreting the words as written. This is the legit tech manual for this starship.
It's the operator's manual, and it'll tell you everything you need to know. I mean, there's stuff for the aircraft that I've worked on when I was actually in service. Right, this is out of that. Hey, to do X, you need to turn these gears and turn this to achieve Y. There's probably graphs and other stuff that.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of.
If you're taking off with this amount of weight and want to do a jump this far, you have to do this and so on and so forth. So I'm betting that that's what this is. And there's a lot of, if not secret, at least
privileged information.
Privileged and not for,
not for public dissemination.
Yeah.
So and that's at the very, very least.
Only use it to win War Thunder arguments.
War Thunder arguments. Jesus Christ. That was a good one.
Soon.
That was a good one. No, he's well, okay. I heard War Thunder, which of course is a video game that I believe a Russian company put out for a whole bunch of different countries' military gear.
Yeah. That people keep trying to prove that their stuff's better, so they keep publishing super classified documents
Yeah.
all the time in the forums to say, nope, it's supposed to be doing like this.
Yeah. All right. So I just want to interject with that just for clarity. I didn't want this to be like it's not just a user's guidebook or handbook. This is the tech bible for the average crewman's. When I was in the army, this would be the 10-level tech manual, which is the operator level, and then the next level up or 2 levels up would be, the guy or the people that would go in there to fix things. But usually at this point for a ship, which is a composite of so many systems, this would be uh, all the different systems would have their own 20 or 30 level maintenance guys. At any rate, please continue. I just wanted to clarify that one final point there.
So it's not just that this is what you're going to do when, your ship's troops or whatever, this is the procedure that you follow.
Mm-hmm.
There's information in this book that like, this is, the value that the stutter warp drives need to be calibrated to. All that kind of stuff is in there.
Yeah, this is what the crew would need.
Okay,
this
cool.
is the information the crew would need in order to do their jobs at literally any station across the ship.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I don't think he should have it if he's not going to be able to reference it in his works. I don't think it would matter.
I don't know. I mean,
If he gets caught with it or he gets, whatever, that's just a mess that we don't want to be part of.
On the bottom right corner of the screen, the words.
Would you accept the compromise of letting a lawyer, a salvage lawyer, read through it?
Are you asking Grimaldi
in a book?
Yeah. Grimaldi is snoring.
I don't think we should say we found it at all. We found the ship, but that thing we lucked out finding it anyway. I think somebody rolled a 12 or something. So we could have easily not found it until the ship was taken in and cleaned up.
My clients rolled 12. Oh, yeah. All right. Well.
Again, I'm going to cite the legal precedence of finders versus keepers.
We're keeping it and we're going to use it, but I don't think we should release any of it. That could only come back and harm us, not just from the French, but if there is information in there that, somebody could use to backdoor the ship or whatever, we don't want that out there.
And Hellwig's just going to go look over at you and say, yeah, as if we have not already painted targets on our backs.
I'm like, well, it pays to be careful.
I just wanted to point out, I put this in chat because I was being kind of snarky. Milligan gains +1 French military faction reputation.
Oh, please, I don't want that.
So at this point,
there is a conversation Wyatt would want to have while we're loading stuff onto the Grindelborn.
By all means.
Okay, so this is when we're in the middle of loading stuff onto the ship, and Wyatt will just be speaking over comms, and he'll just start going like, so when we get back to Beowulf, we should probably do some karaoke again. There's like 20 or so folks that we're in to go. I don't know why the speech payment guy wants to go, but yeah, we should like take 2 or so with us, take them out on the ledge outside, strap them in, and just become one with the scenery.
I must have blinked somewhere in there.
I'm not all together tonight, but I'm losing the imagery.
Would you like me to go one more time?
Yeah.
Break it down like a 5-year-old could understand.
So when we get back to Beowulf, we should probably try and get some karaoke again. There's like 20 or so folks that keep on wanting to go. And I don't know why the speech payment guy keeps on wanting to go, but he does. But yeah, anyway, we should take like 2 or so with us, take them outside on the ledge outside, strap them in, and, just become one of the scenery.
On a ledge outside?
No, he's talking about taking the Grendel back with us.
The Grindelborn.
And the Grindelborn, and then
I don't think you can get that thing on an LC-10.
And then taking these pentapods back with us and seeing what sort of adventures we get into.
Oh, well, I mean, if any of them are willing to go with us, I'm fine having some on board. I think we should collect one of every alien.
No one got my my thieves talk there. Boo.
Yeah.
No, so he's trying to have a conversation on the opening about smuggling in one or two of the Stutterwort missile bodies.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I thought you were talking about our crew back on Beowulf. When you said karaoke, I thought you wanted to go do some stuff on Beowulf.
Yeah, illegal stuff.
Right.
There's 20 missile bodies.
Oh,
Guy
he's
with
gonna have. He
speech
wants somebody.
impediment.
He wants. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
You should take
Now,
2 of them outside.
I'm sure that the quarantine people spot that right off.
Yeah,
You know?
QTC or whatever they are.
Yeah.
We would have to hide it on the outside of our BAB when we get back, or something like that.
Yeah, sure.
Hide it with the other machinery.
that's gonna be hard to explain away, but
Yeah.
if you're willing to try it, go to jail. I'm willing to contact Hankerson.
It'd be
I
like,
think
hey,
all
we
that-
need to bail your team leader out.
I imagine if we get intercepted on the way back, whoever intercepts us is going to take the nukes. But when we show that this ship is under salvage,
You
I
don't
don't
even
see
have
that-
any nukes though.
Yeah,
Right,
They're,
right.
They're missing.
If we
Yeah.
find the nukes.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
If we find the nukes, because I'm thinking the pentapods have them, they may not give them to us, but So anyway, if we have the nukes, I think that's the only part out of all of this that somebody's going to take from us, because we shouldn't have it. That's massively controlled. The missile bodies themselves, they're nothing but a 5-shot laser. They're not a
I wonder, out of character, I wonder if that missile technology for the drives, it's got to be at the very least proprietary. Don't want to share this with everybody. Let them figure it out on their own. I don't get me wrong. A lot of the tier 1 and 2 and maybe even the tier 3 nations have this technology on their own already, but why are we letting everybody have it? You know what I mean? Just because we can make a surface-to-air missile here in the U.S. doesn't mean we want to give it to every other country in the world. So I feel like they might want to go after that as well. That's just me talking. Even though it's just the missile body and there's nothing really destructive in it other than its own kinetic energy.
So you know how the U.S. and other Western powers have decided to stop doing business with China as far as microchips are concerned?
I'm just gonna say yes because I haven't heard that, but I'm not gonna disagree either.
Yes, no, that's something that is 100% happening.
No, what I mean is I believe you, just haven't heard it myself, and I'm not surprised by this motion. But please continue.
It's to stop them from doing that. Yeah, at least in part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why Biden is doing what the multi-billion-dollar domestic investment tour to start chip production domestically again. In part. Anyway, it's a very real danger concern.
Yeah. I do want to point out that sometime after this conversation and noticing that Grimaldi is dead asleep in his bunk, Dr. Smith Daniels comes out of the lab, whatever that might actually mean, because I know this crawler has a lab on it. And she says, I'm going to paraphrase this because I didn't actually write any dialogue for her, but she says that she's only had what could be considered marginal success of any sort as to studying or determining what that resin that you guys found inside the Durandal is. The only thing that she is reliably certain about, and we're in the 80 to 90% sure range, is that resin is actually organic in nature, mostly. And then she's just kind of standing there looking at you to, you have prompts on your screen saying which question you would like to ask next.
It's pentapod poop.
I know.
It's pentapod something.
Yeah, she's like, listen, my doctorate is more in behavioral studies and social structures than it is with anything involving test tubes. I don't know. It doesn't smell like shit, but I don't know what the pentapod diet consists of. I'm almost scared to ask, to be honest.
Well, hopefully it's not nuclear warheads.
That's a really I don't like your sense of humor, Mr. Wyatt. And she's just like,
all I'm saying is that they should have been in the back along with the missile bodies in the vault, and they're gone.
Yeah, the straps were there that were holding them down and everything, and there was an empty spot in the vault.
Well, it sounds like maybe
And
we need
then,
to
like,
go see what the pentapods have to say about this.
yeah, no, we have credit with them, right? We have some
Yep.
trade
Yeah,
power
didn't
still
you
left
guys
with
give
them.
them all 200 or what? How much was it? How many?
No, we
200
only gave them
kilograms.
like half
Yeah.
I thought we gave
because that
them
was
all
the
of it.
deal.
Because they
We
didn't
talked
want
about
all
that,
of
but
it.
they
They
were-
didn't want all of it, but I thought
Right.
you guys still managed to work it in to take all of it.
We asked him about credit, but then we went into this big long conversation about how they didn't understand what that credit meant. So
Yeah.
I don't know if we gave them all of it or we only gave them that 100 or whatever.
Instead, take the meat slurry. Oh man, I'm way too easily
I do
amused.
wanna-
Go ahead.
I do want to say to the doctor that I want her to spend some time as we head back to the pentapods because I have a sack with 27 dog tags, but we only have 9 corpses. So I want her to be able to talk to the pentapods and try to explain how we're different and that when the people we originated from die, there are certain ceremonies that we do to put them to rest.
Did you
You know,
guys
we
take the? I think I insinuated this in the opening, but did you guys actually take the dead bodies out of the ship?
Yes,
No,
I did. No, I
We
did.
took their fingers. We took the fingers of the ones we couldn't identify.
Somebody broke some fingers off, yeah. But when we were loading the ship, I specifically said, I'm loading the bodies first. And we talked about where we were going to put them because they were too big to put inside. So I've strapped them to the top on the outside of the Grindelborn.
Okay, I do remember that now. Okay,
Yeah.
so you do have my count is something like I vaguely recall like 4 different bodies plus the captain who's still in the vac suit. But then you said 9 or something like that.
That's what you said at the end of the session last time, and that's what I recorded. But I wasn't sure that it was 9 either. There's the captain's body. There's the 2 bodies that were in the tack room, but I don't know how many bodies were sitting up front. I thought it was 2 or 3, which would really only make 5 corpses.
Yeah, I think there was. Oh, there was like a cryopod or 2 that.
But they were
just
empty.
One
said
was
the cryo-
yeah, there was like 1 or 2 that was awake or not awake, but on.
No. We were told that the people inside the cryopods died, and the cryopods were open a few weeks ago.
Right. And so the pentapods probably did that.
Yeah,
so they probably have those 2
slurped them up,
bodies. Right. So
and
I'm
then
thinking
pooped out the stuff in the vault.
Right. But if they were picking up bodies, why didn't they pick up these other ones? I don't know.
I'm looking through the book really quick just to see if I can see anything about it.
Please wait while the GM loads.
Yeah, really.
I
GM.exe failed to load.
So I played my first game of Earthdawn recently. I'm a troll aeronaut. I'm having a good time. We're out, protecting this caravan, and it was during a windstorm, and we got like besieged by wolves. And,
okay, here we go.
I died in 2 hits.
Ew. Okay, so this is what I'm counting so far. Starting in the bridge, there were 2. Let me see. 2 of the couches, including one of the ones that were ripped free, have corpses in them. So that's 2 bodies. There are 2 more bodies piled up against the bulkhead leading into the Tactical Action Center. So that's 4 basically on or near the bridge.
Yep. And then the captain.
Yeah, and the captain, which is 5. And then 4 of the 8 couches are occupied. So there was 4 inside the Tactical Action Center. So that's 4 more.
Oh, okay.
So that's okay. So that's where that's where the 9 came from.
Okay.
So there was 4 effectively on the bridge, and then 4 more in the tack, which is adjacent to the bridge, and then of course the captain himself. And all of them appear to have had a small chunk of tissue taken out from the meaty part of their neck. Of course, the 22 sets of dog tags, I think it was 27 dog tags. Sorry.
27. Yep. So we're missing a good number of bodies.
Yeah.
So
and I want to point out too, just one small thing that I know I mentioned last week. The captain's dog tag is significantly different than the 27 because it has what looks like it could be slotted into some sort of I'm gonna say USB because that's the easiest way to explain it, but some sort of port where there's like information that might be able to be pulled off of there.
Yeah, and we might play with that maybe on the way back or something while we have time. But yeah, I don't really want to get into that right this second. I don't think. I don't know. What
Yeah,
do
did
y'all
someone
think?
It's
find
obvious
some
to me, you know,
sentient
that
fungus?
the captain, you know, just want a rare shiny version of dog tags, and that's what he's using.
I mean, it may have some important information about the ship on it. It might have a bunch of other. I'm sure it has a bunch of other classified stuff on it that.
Yeah, it's got his saves
Yeah.
for like Doom and Crisis on it too, you know.
I definitely don't think we should
It's
keep it if we're
doomsday.
gonna turn the rest of them over, because that would look weird. That the captains out of all of them wasn't included.
I'm
But
sorry, I was typing something. What did you say? That last little bit, Thurgor?
oh, I was just saying that I definitely think if we're gonna return these bodies to the French, which is what I want to do,
Right.
we're gonna return the dog tags and everything too.
Yeah.
But if the pentapods took these bodies and let's say maybe they haven't like mulched them up or whatever yet, maybe we can get some of them back through some kind of trade. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd like to go home with as many crew member bodies as we can. Just the French will like us that much more for it. Not that I'm trying to curry their favor or anything.
I mean, let's
but
be honest though. You kind of are, and I realize my tone is sarcastic, but also let's be realistic for a minute. You're trying to salvage one of their ships without them getting in the way or impeding you. So yes, you are
Right.
definitely trying to curry favor. Also, Milligan gains +1 faction with the French government.
yeah. All right, I'm going to remember this.
Yeah, they're going
I've
to
got
remember this.
+2 faction. with
No. You have faction or reputation with the government and the military. +1 each.
Oh, okay. I'll write this down.
You need the next thing you need is the people.
Okay.
The French government like this.
Okay, so in the interest of getting a little bit of forward movement here, not to push you guys too far or whatever. So the next big step that I'm thinking of is getting some rest for everybody because it's literally been a long day since the last time you rested. And also you have plenty of time left before the sun comes up. Like I said earlier, well, by this point, you're probably at like 30 hours before the sun comes up, and that's like giving you guys plenty of time, like almost a full working day of time to do whatever you're going to do with gear, securing it, finish up loading stuff, whatever the case might be. You need to get some rest. I'm going to assume / I'm going to push that you guys go back to the pentapods and get some answers. I feel like that's really the next best thing to do other than heading straight back to the base, which was originally, or the last week going back to Llewellyn Station was brought up, but I think at this point it's quite obvious that you guys want to go interact with the pentapods one more time.
Yeah, we want to make you roleplay them again because you did such a good job and it wasn't challenging.
Fuck you, Wiggles. Wiggles, I'm playing, by the way.
I've been sitting here Googling AI voice generators, but I can't find one that will do Scottish and Italian together.
That'd be hilarious if you did, because then I could just feed it lines and have it say it for me. Wiggles, I really was just playing, man. Don't get quiet on me now, because now I'm getting nervous.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah. I'm gonna switch back over to the TTS, and he's gonna be like, "This GM's a dick. I'm out."
Or I could be the fact that I'm eating curry.
So I'll go with curry much more than I would go with you trying to dip out because I said fuck you doing fast. Okay, what are we doing, guys?
So I know we're all tired. I will volunteer to stay up on a watch and let everybody get some sleep since I'm not going to be the one driving anyway.
You just gonna get bounced around.
Well,
sorry.
Whatever. I'll strap myself into one of those beds, I guess. I don't know. But I'll try to keep some kind of watch.
Okay.
Since I'm the one that's able to drive, I guess
You can go sleep.
You need to get. Listen, you need to start the coffee now, so you have a fresh pot in the morning. Stage your thermos right next to the coffee pot, and then go take your ass to bed.
Right, and then have another thermos right by you that's not filled with coffee, so that you don't have to get up.
God damn it, Wiggles!
Just make sure you keep them glowing.
Make sure you know which one is which, and never forget.
I feel like that's an error correcting issue, though.
yeah, it will definitely self-correct.
I'll also probably wake you up.
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh my god. Wiggle, stop, man. Jesus Christ.
Oh.
Hellwig, what else you got, man?
I think that's about it. I guess I'm gonna I'll get some sleep, and then I'll get up in the morning and start driving this thing out. So yeah,
Okay.
because it's been a full day.
Yeah,
Right,
just
and we'll put on some like trucking montage music for Hellwig.
yeah, it'll be just no, it's just gonna be Convoy on repeat. The whole fucking 8 hours or so it's gonna take.
No. It's going to alternate between Convoy and Eastbound and Down.
Fucking Thurgore's gonna, or Milligan's gonna wake up and just gonna know the words by heart without even being prompted.
Exactly.
Wyatt, what are you doing before you decide to get yourself some rest?
By French law, we can only have these 2 songs on the Grindel board.
He's over there quoting law now. Look what you did, Hellwig. You fucking rubbed off on him.
Right? Perfect.
I don't think there's anything else I need to do. You know,
Okay.
besides my attempt to steal again from our boss has been shot down by the players.
Once more.
I wasn't worried about stealing from the boss. I was worried about the freaking quarantine.
QTC.
Those people, yeah, the QTC giving us trouble.
They just arrest first and then you know,
and then quarantine later.
Yeah. It could even be just that they decide to you know, convict you without a trial.
Or you just disappear.
Yeah.
Right?
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and do the hand wavy thing. We're gonna fast forward about 6 or 8 hours to apply everybody so that everybody can get some sleep. I want to point out one last time before we do transition to the next little bit there. Unless anybody actively attempts to wake up Grimaldi, he does not fucking move. He is out for the night until morning. At which point he just kind of plops his feet on the deck. And he does one of those, you know, customary old man stretches before he stands up. He's like, all right. Huh. Wow, that was some good sleep. I smell coffee. Where's the coffee at? And then I guess we could transition from there. So for this next bit, Hellwig, are you ready to roll some dice? Please say yes.
Yep.
All right. I need you to roll drive, wheel, dex. That's
Okay.
not the window I want. Give me a second. All right, here we go. Make some rolls for my friend.
So
Driving.
it's a 1 and a 1 is added on to whatever this is going to be. And that would be
Look at that.
a 7 plus 2 is a 9.
And do 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 do. Wasn't that some great driving music? We're back. We're back at the Pentapods. Let me
Yay!
Let me get rid of this. Let me get this. Let me situate my view so I can put it right where I want it. That looks good. It's locked. It's locked. Homer doesn't know about the battle fungus. He does not know about the great... I do know about the great wog. How dare you? How dare you? I know they go with red because it's fast. They go with purple because it's lucky. And they have 2 gods. One who is brutal but cunning, and the other one who is cunning but brutal. Come on. Damn it. I do know a couple things about Warhammer 40k. I can't remember those 2 orc gods' names. I want to say it's like... I don't know. It's like Bonk and Bill or some dumb shit because it's always classically fun. Okay. Anyway, back on track. You have arrived. When you arrive, the aliens, you can notice almost immediately, the aliens have created some further additions to that little tent or habitat thingy. That if you recall, when you first showed up, they plopped like a handful of like muddy, gooey stuff, and then like this little self-contained thing inflated. Well, they've added new stuff to it. Rodance says, at least it's not Slanesh, and she spelled Slanesh wrong, by the way. Just further identifying that I know what the hell I'm talking about. He who thirsts. Not me, Slanesh. Well, no, I'm going to stop right there. Anyway, god damn, I'm so easily distracted, too. At any rate, you're the original, like, little tenty potty dealy middle finger. I deserve it. The whole tenty potty thingy that you guys had that initial meeting inside, they have expanded on it. There's new, like, chambers or whatever added to it.
Ooh.
You also notice that there are several constructs clearing a flat space near the habitat on either side of the wall from the main part of the base, and it looks like they might be constructing a landing field with channels to either side to manage any of the water flows. It has a one-bedroom apartment, a dining room, a living room, and they're renting for $35K a month. That sounds about right. So, so yeah, you can see here in this area right here, they're trying to build or it looks like they're trying to flatten the area out for like a landing pad area. I want to say you guys were set up initially in this 4-ish, but that's actually marked as a maker. I think the habitat thing that they had put up for you guys initially was actually, that's a Harpy class lander. So I think they put up like something here. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's not that important. I know last week I distinguished Frank and Llewellyn as having different colors for their markings, so you could tell which one's which. Between not just the two of them, but with them and anybody else. I don't remember what they are. Frank is the one pentapod that, if you recall, was the one that was kind of like designed or trained to interact with humans more so than other pentapods. And then Llewellyn, if you guys remember when you first showed up, Llewellyn is the pentapod that was stationed outside Llewellyn Station. Not to get redundant with my word choices there. And when you guys had first showed up, Llewellyn wasn't around, but they later brought him out. And this isn't the exact same pentapod, but it is the same pentapod. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Ooh.
Well, it'll come out here shortly. Frank will come out to greet you guys when you show up, by the way. And he actually appears to be in a pretty decent mood, cordial and whatnot. I want to point out that, let's just say for the sake of argument, between you guys bedded down at 30 hours, you slept for like 6 or 8 more, so now you're down to like 23-ish hours, and then it took you about 8 to 10 hours to drive. So there's probably about 6 hours left or so before the sun is up again. Let's just go with that. And I think technically that will change the date now to the 23rd. Let me update that really quick. So now it is Tuesday, 23rd. Oops. Oh my god, type 23rd. There we go. Tuesday, the 23rd of June. And if I recall correctly, you guys originally departed Beowulf on the 16th. So you've got about a week to get your asses back to Beowulf, or you're not going to be able to make it on a single tank of gas. At any rate, Frank will come out to meet you. He looks like he's in a pretty decent mood. He actually suggests a tour of the base so he can show you the work that has taken place since you guys left. And there are lights,
Yeah, right.
and there are lights situated across around the area, so there is mostly sufficient lighting. And also, because it's the middle of the night, the ground is solidly frozen and not really slick or anything like that, so it's actually half decent walking conditions. Also, somebody may make an intelligence roll.
And we have to.
You don't have to, but I think this is kind of funny.
No, I understand. Like, your tone doesn't like. Fine.
Oh. Well, Wiggles, it
Well, be
doesn't
happy
really.
I didn't get it.
Yeah, Wiggles, it doesn't dawn on you right away until until Milligan points it out. Milligan, you are actually quite aware of your surroundings at the moment. Frank is not wearing a vac suit or environment suit or anything of that nature. He's just out there in all his pentapod glory. And whatever. I don't know what kind of, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know what kind of clothing the pentapods wear. Let's assume that whatever it is, he's wearing that, but he's also, more importantly, not wearing protective gear against the environment.
I
Wow.
don't think they wear clothes.
Don't think they do either.
They just hang dong. 5 of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
No,
they're
it's
aquatic.
5 legs, not dong.
Yeah.
Oh.
You don't know which one's the dong leg.
Well, I mean, if it's weight bearing.
Oh, okay. I'm just.
Your mom's weight bearing. Stop,
Right.
Jesus Christ! All right, listen. So here's the tour. Are we taking the tour or are we not?
Yeah, I'll take the
Yeah.
tour.
Okay.
I don't have a nickel though.
It's you don't even have to pay that much. The pentapods don't.
Oh.
This is a gratuity free or something.
Oh,
Duty
okay.
free. There you go.
I have a quick question about Frank.
Yes.
Was he previously wearing a suit?
To be honest, I don't remember.
No.
I wouldn't think so, but I don't know.
Oh no.
I mean,
Frank was
because like
the
the
one that was at
bishops weren't. Yeah.
What was that last part?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I thought was Frank the one that met us at the station, constantly going, "Hey, can we have?"
No, that was
biomass?
Llewellyn. That was
That was
Llewellyn.
Llewellyn. Okay.
Frank is the quote unquote. Well, I'll call him the diplomat for lack of a better word. He's the one that has been conditioned, trained, whatever, for interacting with humans.
Right.
And then
Okay.
they brought Llewellyn out because I think somebody wanted to ask about him or something. So they brought Llewellyn
Right.
out to help establish that familiarity or whatever. It was
Gotcha.
Llewellyn, but it wasn't Llewellyn. But it was.
Gotcha. Because I thought when they met us at the station after we got shot with the egg thingies, that they were without suit. So
I don't remember, to be totally honest. I don't remember.
Yeah.
It just wasn't mentioned. So
It wasn't
Yeah.
mentioned, I don't think.
Yeah.
At any rate, let me see. Hang on one second.
I was just curious if they've adapted to the conditions now, or if they were always immune to the atmosphere here.
I think I'm gonna go with at least for Frank. You know what? We'll just go with that they're adapted. I'm sure maybe they have some sort of biotech that they can adjust various parameters of their physical construct of their body and adjust for the local
I
environment.
mean they're always developing, per the lore.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, they're always developing new biotech, which is probably why they wanted a bunch of biomass to begin with.
They
was to
probably
help
used
do
that
the craft-
biomass for something in this
For the
base.
crafting.
Yeah, for their they literally needed, like how we just throw a bunch of goop into a 3D printer and out comes a thing. They 3D printed whatever using biomass. That's a really dark, disturbing thought. But Frank takes you first to the habitat. I'm gonna call it a tent. I don't know what else to call it. Where you guys first interacted with the pentapods inside protected air. But now everything. So now it is now a 10-room. We'll say building. It's not necessarily a building, but it's a building. Includes a large meeting room, a galley, and a dining area, and several staterooms. Everything inside is warm and dry, and you can see the colors are kind of a tasteful neutral color. The materials, while kind of soft to the touch, they are resilient, but more importantly, they don't have the typical soft, slimy feel like a lot of pentapod materials otherwise would. Last thing, in the kitchen itself, there is a Bessier Gentech auto kitchen, a human design, a human theme.
Ooh.
As opposed to a pentapod construct. The freshers or restrooms are of human design, at least on the surface. Meat Flap City. Jesus Christ, Wiggles. It's a bouncy house. We're going to call it the bouncy house, even though it's not really a bouncy house. They want our poop for free, he says.
Oh, God.
At this point, as you guys, so he kind of walks you through this 10-room facility, and then as you guys are coming back outside, you're taking a moment in the airlock. You good over there, bro? As you're you take a moment in the airlocks, throw your helmets back on or whatever. And once you get back outside, Frank will ask if you guys would like to use their tripods so that you can move around the base a little bit, or you guys can just walk on your own feet. Like I said before, everything's fairly well lit, and the ground, of course, is pretty damn solid because it's cold as fuck outside.
Why? Well, 100% try out new weird alien stuff.
New alien poop-fueled tripod. Let's go.
Yeah, the Hellwig is just like, yeah, I'll walk.
Okay. All right. So anyway, Thurgor. All right. Damn it, Milligan. Jesus Christ. Milligan, are you gonna walk or are you gonna take a tripod?
I'm going to walk, and I feel a particular urgency to get our business done here and get back to our ship and get the
Okay.
heck out of here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and start talking to Frank, and I'm going to lay out, what we found on the ship, and the fact that there was obviously a crew of, what was it, 27?
28, including the captain. We're gonna go with that
Okay,
number
yeah,
until
28,
we
yep.
trump ourselves with actually looking it up.
Yeah, it's 28. Yeah. But that we only found 9 corpses, and we're curious if they were brought here, and that also there was something missing from the vault, it appeared, and we were wondering if that too was brought here.
Frank
And
kind of stops in his
gonna-
tracks as you get to some of the details of what you're discussing here, and he just looks up at you. And I want to be clear, for the viewer's sake at least. When he looked up at you, first off, this is a pentapod. Imagine something like a zucchini eggplant shape that is about 1 meter tall, standing on 1/2 meter long, knee-capped legs. But there's 5 of them, 5 legs, right? And at the top of this weird-looking socky thing are 5 little tendrils that pop up and have an eyeball at the end of each one. They are shaped like butt plugs. No, they are not. And no, they are not 4 legs and a phallus. Come on. Jesus Christ. Do I have to show the image of the pentapod again just to disprove y'all's silliness?
No, they kind of look like butt plugs. They kind of do look like butt plugs. I mean, I think it's an accurate description.
Oh, dear Lord.
I gotta figure out where my pentapod token went.
Also, show me a picture of a pentapod does not disprove one that's not a phallus.
Okay. That statement I can't argue. And I can't figure out where my pentapod token went because I thought I had one saved.
Did you look into the folder for tax stuff?
For what?
Tax stuff.
There's a
Tax
second
stuff?
star folder.
No, you're not looking at my tax stuff, asshole. Nice try. I'll give you that. It's a pentapod token.
There's no search.
No, I may.
Oh, yeah, there is. There's a search right there.
Well, yeah, no, because his tax stuff folder, he marked it in Windows as not search.
Oh, not tools. Tokens.
No.
Figures. There we go. Custom. And alright. Bear with me here. 'Cause apparently I have to once again show these people what I'm talking about.
I know what it looks like. I
know
but
you know
can
what
show
it
us
looks
again.
like, but you want to make things difficult for me. That's what I'm hearing.
Just imagine a sea anemone. Okay? That's the easiest thing. Anybody that wants to talk about
Alright,
it.
for the viewers
just-
at home, here you go. Here's what a fucking pentapod looks like, okay? This is a
Right,
pentapod. It is not
It's a
butt plug,
stalk
my
with a
friend.
flared base.
No.
It is not.
When he retracts his eye stalks,
If the eye
Butt plug.
if the eye stalks close and he sits down on his legs, maybe it would look like a butt plug. But otherwise, no. Okay? Jesus Christ, I hate you guys. At any rate,
No, I just think we should bring one to the pentapods and see if they think it's like kind of like a neat statue.
it's a baby doll.
at any rate, let's get back on track here. You guys are fucking weird. Yeah, so when you start talking about the
alien art.
when you start talking about contents of the Durandal and how some things were missing and not everything's adding up, Frank will basically Frank will literally stop in his tracks and he will look up at you. And again, they're only about 1 meter to 1.5 meters tall overall or something like that. And all 5 of those creepy little eyeball stalks will be turned directly to you. And he says something to the effect of, maybe we should just skip the tour. I don't know how a Pentapod would say that. But let's just imagine a Pentapod would say that, and at least one word has multiple different words used.
Right.
Because of course that's how they speak. And then he says, perhaps I should go get my supervisor, boss, leader to answer some of these questions and inquiries. And I don't know if you, like, I don't know how you would tell looking at a Pentapod, but you can kind of feel like maybe there's a certain tone of guilt in the way his eye stalks kind of slowly droop just a tiny bit. And how, obviously the Pentapod doesn't have shoulders, but if he did have shoulders, they would definitely have gone a little limp. Yeah.
Like we know we caught him in a lie type of looking down type of thing.
Yeah, like he definitely knows that you guys figured out something that he was,
and I'm going to read the bottom line.
he was not prepared for.
Well, I go on to say that I'm not trying to offend you, but if one of those groups of things that was taken off the ship is what I think it is dangerous.
Okay, Quinn and I want to try something out for the Pentapod.
I'm sorry.
Dear Lord.
What?
Let's see this works.
What are you trying
You want
to
to
do?
sit down, Quinn?
Yeah.
We're gonna do a Pentapod speech. Let's see if this works out.
I'm being subjected.
All right. So can you hear us?
No.
Can you hear Quinn?
Hello, I'm Quentin Mattis Mitchell.
Yes, I can hear him now.
Okay, so on 3, we'll start speaking the line.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, God.
1, 2, 3.
Maybe we should
avoid. You have a very simple line.
No, I feel like the Petapods would have gotten their mouths to work together better than that.
1, 2, 3. Maybe we should avoid
door.
embarrassment.
That's amazing. I guess that's what it would sound like if the voices were the same. Like they were definitely
Scottish
a little
Italian.
Now do Scottish Italian. Oh my God! One of them does Scottish, the other does Italian. All right, let's get back on track here.
Wouldn't appear to be racist.
So
Talking about.
So we have a character.
I'm gonna get in the correct page here. Okay, Frank definitely he takes a step back. And he says, "Yeah, so I think maybe we should continue this discussion."
Spanish.
Hey, Wiggles.
Wiggles. Hot mic, Wiggles.
Yeah, Wiggles. Mute yourself. Mute yourself real quick if you're gonna have a conversation with your brother or whoever.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, that was a fun idea I had in the spur of the moment.
that was kind of a cool experiment. It would have worked out better if you guys had your timing better, but for something right off the cuff like that, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, so essentially Frank is like, yeah, maybe we should go back to the hab pod there, and I can go get someone who could speak for us.
Okay.
Oh, did you talk about the resin we found in the vault too? We should bring that up?
We'll talk about that when we all gather up.
Frank.
I figure that's
regardless how the conversation goes. I am super keen on looking at your stuff. This is really cool. Never got to do it before.
Frank will actually kind of perk up a little bit when you say that, and you're like, I mean, we don't have to do if he starts talking and then he kind of catches himself and he kind of catches his breath or whatever, and then he's like, I mean, we can finish the tour and then I can go get I'm just gonna say my boss. I'm sure Frank would have used much different words there.
I mean, I want to do that. I want to do that.
That's fine.
Yeah, and then you'll see his eye stalks will look at other people in your party, one to each person, just to see how they respond.
We want to have. I want us to have a good relation with us. We're just really curious. We're not sure what's going on. We want to learn from you. All right, we just want to know what's happening. That's all. I would love for this to be a cool hangout spot for Pentapods and humans to meet up. I think that'd be really, really great.
I can accept that. So I'm gonna read through some stuff. If you guys have questions or whatever, please interject where needed. Let's keep the questions on task, though. Okay, not other
Oh,
things.
fine.
So, obviously, the human habitat is located up close by the dam, and then you have the little landing area there. There's actually a Harpy class lander there, which, other than the fact it's clearly a pentapod design, doesn't look terribly different from a top-down lander. You know, the ones that use rockets to slow themselves down on their final descent. You know, suicide dive or something like that. New app, Human Pentapod Tender. Oh my god. And actually, at the moment, the Harpy is on the field, and it's got its imagine like a rose or a flower, and it's got its petals open. I don't know why I wanted to say tentacles. Don't answer that, Wiggles. I know where your head just went. Anyway, never mind. I digress. Beyond the landing field are the hab bubbles and whatnot that you guys had noticed on your first visit. Up close, they are full of twisted organic shapes, with many small pentapods scuttling about like five-legged spiders. This is the thing that had, if you guys remember when you first came in here, the first time you were here, this Archie airship was attached to these no, that's excavation, sorry. This Archie was attached to one of these two, 4 or 5.
One of the makers, yeah.
Yeah. So the maker now, 4. I think 4 is the maker, 5 is, I think you, regardless. So you're in this area right in here, these little bubbles or whatever. Where am I at? They are. I'm talking about my notes. Sorry. They are noticeably larger than it was last time. Beyond which are attached are a series of smaller domes, and these are also transparent. But even as you guys look at them, you can see that one of them starts to exude some sort of like opaque resinous material, and it slowly spreads down and covers the entire bubble. And then the other bubbles near it, attached to it or adjacent or whatever, also start to do the same thing. And the interior of each dome appears to be about half full of water, and there are a bunch of like a dozen or so pentapods inside floating around in the water.
Ooh, a pool.
It could be. The far dome is much larger, and it's already opaque with a crusted, scaly material, somewhat different than the skin slowly covering the other domes. And then past that are 3 more opaque domes. These are the ones further in the back of, so like these right here. Where am I? Past the curve are 3 more opaque domes, and Frank actually points them out as being adaptive labs and says that the far one is a test maker ungod, and one of the domes appears slightly wilted next to the other ones, and looks like it actually has like open sores on it.
So the maker and those other domes look like they're having some kind of issue?
Let's say, so we have this dome, and this dome, right? Let's say, for the sake of argument, it's this one here that has the open sores or whatever.
Well, I'll ask Frank what the deal is with that one.
He says that there was an experiment, but things went bad, sick, poisonous.
Oh.
And doesn't look like he really wants to talk much more about it right now.
Well, I'll ask him if everybody's okay.
It has been.
I mean, not
it has been taken care of.
Okay.
It has been taken care of. That's really the only answer he can give you. And he kind of has that same. He almost takes up that same exact pose that he did when you asked about the missing bodies and whatnot. That same guilty shame look. And thus the power pentapods were born. Yes, that's exactly it. How'd you know? The walls of this channel, so like all this green stuff here, all of that, is that what it is? Yeah. So all of that is lined with thick, fleshy plant tendrils festooned with feathery trailing structures pitch black in color. Wow, that was almost difficult to read. And even in the nighttime, the local nighttime, there's a pair of 5-legged constructs about the size of a car, moving steadily through that material, harvesting it and bringing it over to the makers. And then lastly, I think I may have actually gotten this a little bit screwed up, but lastly, yeah, so I'm sorry, I spoke wrong. So the domes that were the labs and all that is over here, the number 6. And then let's say that green one, since it looks a little bit different than the others, that's the one that has the swords on it. 7 is actually the last open area is dominated by a trio of linked domes in the bottom of a 50-meter wide pit. From each of them, something that appears to be a gigantic esophagus leads into another large dome at the top of the pit, and there are several very large constructs wandering back and forth from the pit to a pile of dirt and ice in the side of the area. Excuse me. In addition to the large constructs, several much smaller constructs are working in the area. And these are barely larger than man-sized, or human-sized, I should say. And aside from a few disturbing details, it looks like they look like they have mouths on their abdomens and 5 eyes on their heads. But when I say heads, don't think of like a traditional head. Like this is just at, near the top. But beyond that, they are otherwise remarkably humanoid in general appearance. They appear to be wandering around with no clothing on. Their skin is like a mottled, scaly skin, and it's exposed skin to the frigid, unbreathable air. And then in the large pit, the 3 domes can be seen sitting over a large shaft drilled down deep into the ground. Some sort of huge creature can be seen gripping the sides of the shaft, its entire body stretching down into the pitch black of the pit. And then at this point, Frank kind of gives you that. Obviously, this is a pentapod giving you guys a look, but he's giving you the equivalent of. You've seen stuff. Obviously, you must have questions at this point. What questions do you have? And it should be clear. Like we're at this would be like the end of the tour. This is the part where you guys would now actually start walking back to the habitat.
Yeah.
And he just looks at you and he says, in pentapod fashion, what questions do you guys have?
I point back to the excavation. I'm like, what is that? That huge organism
with the
it's just a mine. We're mining.
And that's your drill?
He gives you that look of like drill. I'm not familiar with this word. And then you can see like there's sort of like a recognition of what you're trying to say. And he says, yes, that is what we use to dig into the ground to extract.
And so what's with the shaft?
What about it?
They're mining.
What is it?
It's a mine.
They're mining.
Oh, that was the oh
Yeah. That whole setup was their mine.
how long do you plan to be here?
Frank doesn't really know the answer to that question. He has the impression that they intend on something of a semi-permanent or more, but he doesn't really have like a hard answer.
Are you fine with humans still having a research base here?
Frank will say, I'm fine with it. I
like that confidence.
I can see a lot of value in working with the humans, but I'm not sure about the others. Although they have said that that's the whole point of us. Maybe I'm saying too much now.
Dun, dun, dun.
When he says that, I ask him, is he part of the group here, or is he something outside of the group here? Because he's obviously different. I don't say that part. But he is obviously different.
Okay, so when you ask him that question, he gives you that... Let me see if I can explain this. So, all 5 eye stalks turn directly to Milligan. And one of them wins, but not necessarily in a winking fashion. No, let me rephrase that. I'm sorry. 4 of them squint, and 1 goes wide.
That looks like a yes. I don't know.
He's trying to give you, the traditional Spock raised eyebrow.
Uh-huh.
He's trying to emulate a human gesture, but he doesn't have the anatomy for it, so he's trying to compensate where he can. It's a quizzical look,
Right.
but it's clearly not translating without out of character interpretation. So he kind of sees that it's not getting the effect he wants, and you see the eyes kind of, like, all 5 of them kind of narrow a little bit, like studying you. And then he says, I am different from this sect. I am not of the Starward Visions.
Starward Vision. That's the name I couldn't remember.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had mentioned that at least
Yeah,
once.
you did.
And probably only once or twice.
Yeah, I think just the one time, and I
But
couldn't
yeah,
write it
he
down
says
fast
that
enough.
he is not part of this sect. But
Is he part of another sect?
I'm going to say yes as the GM. But
Yeah.
in character, he does not reveal that information. Out of character, it's because the GM doesn't have that information. I don't remember if it's actually mentioned. I haven't seen it in any of my prep for this episode of what sect Frank is from, but he is not from the Starward Visions.
So is he
Yeah, okay.
here because he wants to be here?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
is he here because
Yeah.
the others brought him here?
Well, I feel like, based on what I have
Yeah,
seen,
let's
that Frank
get
is
real
probably here
philosophical.
in a, let's just say he is here, if this were human terms, he's here on a contractual obligation. But he's not opposed to being here.
Right.
And I say that
Right.
simply because of the vibe that I got from the stuff I've read.
I'm
Not
guessing because of
specifically
his
that.
history.
I'm sorry?
I said I'm guessing because of he has history with other humans, obviously, because he can relate to us so much better than the others can.
Right.
So maybe they hired him since they knew there was a human base on Grendel to be there to interpret or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Like, when I say contractual, I mean like a legit contract or agreement of services for some sort of compensation. Not, indenturedness. And by this point, we come back to the habitat. Of course, Frank is not going to stop any of you from asking any more questions, but, we are back at the habitat, so he's going to walk through the wall. No, he wouldn't do that. Never mind. He will walk into the airlock and wait for everybody to cycle through and everything else. And then when you guys are all back inside, a reminder that the air inside is clean for you guys, for humans to breathe as well. And
Right.
Frank is, again, not wearing anything like he has been.
Every time that Hellwig kind of sees that, he kind of sees and blushes a little bit, and just mentions that seems weird because he's always heard that pentapods are always wearing a suit, right? Whether it's a spacesuit or a jumpsuit or something to be appropriate around humans, and he just is like, "You all are naked and not really a front to the civilization, but your nakedness is like throwing him off."
Yeah, give me one quick second, guys. Sorry, my son was asking me something. Yeah, no, so Frank is like, he kind of gives you one of those, slightly confused by where your line of thought is going, and he says, I am simply me. I don't know.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It just something that crosses
Should we get
Hellwig's
naked?
little brain and just going and just makes him chuckle and giggle.
Wait,
Kind of in that
what is best in life?
schoolgirl type of level.
What did Wiggles say? Did he say what I think he said?
Yeah, should we also be in the buff? If they're on the buff, should we also be in the buff? What's evil to table?
I think Frank is going to be like, he doesn't, I think he's actually, no, this is what he'll do. He's going to rock back onto one of his legs, and all 4 of his other legs will go up, kind of like a human might, when they're like, no, that's not necessary. And he'll back that up with a, I understand that clothing for you is normal. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. I'm okay.
Oh,
if
right,
you're okay.
right. No, we're in your house, and I'm going to follow your rules. You know, you go to a place and they're like,
I
hey,
think Wiggles
don't
just
wear
wants
shoes
Wyatt to get
inside. You
naked.
take off the shoes. You go
Yeah,
to the
well-
naked alien house, you get naked.
And
So-
Hellwig just kind of looks at
Me
what's his
too.
fa-
At the woman.
and Wyatt and it's just
Oh.
like, what?
I've
No,
got
no, bad.
But you keep
Bad.
your shoes on when people ask you to take them off?
Shoes, yes. The rest of my clothing, no.
Right?
Well,
So-
I agree. I don't know any nudists. These are the first nudists I've ever met.
so I'm
There
watching
are better
our
ways to
alien
play
doctor.
Monopoly than
I want to see the shock on the alien doctor's face as Wyatt's trying to talk them into all of us stripping down
I
naked.
forgot all about Jackie Smith Daniels being there.
What?
Who's been
Right?
following along and hasn't even bothered to
xenophagic
translate
you know.
once. Yeah, no, I think ultimately, so at this point, Jackie definitely cuts in. He's like, no, we're keeping our clothes on. And then Frank is like, no, please keep your clothes on. We don't want you to be uncomfortable. We're not uncomfortable. You shouldn't be uncomfortable. We are all good here. This, and then Jackie's just like, this is a weird fucking conversation. She wouldn't swear, but I'm doing it. But she's like, this is just a weird conversation.
No, I'm just trying to be, if you follow their when in Rome.
And then Frank will point out at this point as a couple of smaller. Once back inside the habitat, you'll notice that there are those humanoid servitors. I guess is what we're gonna call them. But like, if you remember, I was describing these briefly a moment ago. The looked vaguely humanoid despite having all the extra limbs and all that shit.
Right.
There's a couple of these humanoid servitors inside your habitat, and they are producing a handful of these different jelly-like bags from their abdominal mouths. Okay? And inside this bag is it looks like it's filled with fluid, and inside is this, I'm not joking, this is literally what it said in the book, so imagine what you will from this very, very scant description. Some weird radial fish. However you interpret that, go with that. At this point, Frank will stick one of his feet things through the sides of the bag to grab a fish and pops it into the top of his head. And then you hear him making some like grotesque slurping sounds, and he's like, look, food, snacks, please eat. And he's desperately, at this point, trying to change the conversation. Or change the topic of conversation, I should say.
Hellwig just kind of looks at him and just goes, thanks, no, I'm good.
I'll turn to our resident, pentapod expert. Is like, is that biologically? Can we eat it?
And she looks, she's like, I'm not a biologist, but they're offering it, which means and Frank is like, I'm not a biologist either, but I know that we have definitely attempted to accommodate for your biological needs. So please try it.
I'm going for it.
Okay.
I'll do it.
All right. So to be clear, you're eating the fish inside the water inside this bag.
I'll eat.
That's what the
I'll
food
eat
is.
where they tell me is the edible thing.
Okay, it is the radial fish or snack fish or whatever you want to call it. And who is going to eat it? Wyatt and
I'll eat it.
Milligan.
Yep.
Hellwig is going to be a little.
Hellwig is just going to stand off on the side and say, do the polite, thank you, no.
No, I'm good. Thanks. So kind of you to
I,
ask.
I had an extra big lunch or big breakfast,
All that driving, I can't eat right now. I gotta wait for my stomach to settle.
Yeah. And meanwhile, he's just kind of doing that.
It's sushi, man.
Grimaldi is curious, but he is not. To be honest, it doesn't give me a color. I wish it does. I wish it did. So let's go with something more like brownish, like the traditional color of most fish you find in lakes and streams. But yeah, I think Grimaldi is just kind of like waiting to see how the rest of you respond, and Jackie Smith Daniels is like, yeah, following the same route of Hellwig. Very nice of you to ask. Gonna have to take a hard no on that one.
I mean, I'm
for
gonna be respectful when I say the no, but
Yeah,
you know, it's
yeah,
like, I
yeah.
appreciate it.
yeah, and I don't think anybody's offended. I think so. For Wyatt and Milligan, this is the description. It says inside pentapod version of the face hugger. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You just got face hugged. Um, so
9
what you
months
find out
later.
as you pop this fish into your mouth, it is actually boneless. So it's basically just mostly meat and whatever. And it tastes like a combination of ginger beer and salmon.
Not the worst combo.
It's definitely not pickles and pickled herring and peanut butter.
So I tell everybody it tastes good.
What is that?
I mean, you know, at Hellwick's, it's just, let me guess, it tastes like chicken. Everything tastes like chicken.
No.
It tastes like fish.
Salmon, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
I
something
think
else. Like there's like a ginger.
I think Smith Daniels is just gonna be totally perplexed at this point and be like, "Fuck it." She's not gonna cuss, but she's just gonna be like, "All right, screw it, whatever." And she will reach into the bag and pop one in her mouth as well and be like,
Yeah, you know,
I've never had that combination before. It's
I
not
mean, like,
horrible.
no, it's not bad. I mean, it's far from offensive.
Yeah, and she swallows, and you can tell she's not gonna get more. But it's also you can tell like, I mean, it's ginger beer and salmon. People are gonna respond differently to that.
you know, at this point, Hellwick's just gonna go, okay, fine, and I mean, he's gonna look at it and
Peer pressure.
yeah,
Peer
basically,
peer
like,
pressure.
And wait,
you know,
is Wyatt actually doing that?
No.
I'm picturing
in
this
for a
6.5 foot tall skinny dude going peer pressure, peer pressure.
yeah, basically, Hellwick's just gonna go in for a pound, I guess, and just do that whole hold his nose, put it in his mouth, and
What are you, 12?
yeah, basically. And then you know, do that whole picky eater thing, and then go, oh, okay, it's not bad. All right, well, yeah, we'll try it.
Thurgor. Raw wriggling.
So
Yeah. All right.
I don't know.
Anybody else gonna? Well, I mean, everybody at this point is, other than Grimaldi. I think after a while, Grimaldi's like, all right, fuck it. And he takes them, and he is not terribly impressed. But again, it's not disgusting. He's just not impressed.
Right.
So after another moment or two, Frank will take a step back. It kind of.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Listen, it was just ginger beer and salmon, man. Calm down.
Are you hearing my brother? My brother made
Yes.
a joke.
Yeah.
He's very, very, very proud of it.
Late. I'm all for it, man. But wow. So after another moment or so, Frank steps aside, and he is replaced by a different pentapod who, you know, obviously not as tall as a human is, but is noticeably taller than Frank, and his colors are more blue and more tan than Frank's purpley tan markings. And he actually speaks at this point, and he says, we are termed negotiator 4. We have charged leadership blame for this enclave. We, servants messengers, wish trade relations information and the exchange of interest value with the human British quality colony on the world biosphere called Beowulf. And behind this negotiator 4, Frank is standing. His eye stalks are retracted all the way, and his pupils are kind of doing this like weird circly rolly around kind of motion.
Is the eye rolling?
Make a roll. No pun intended there. Recon intelligence. The answer is yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so not only do you know that out of character, but your character actually is like, wait a minute, is this motherfucker actually trying to make an eye roll? But you'll also
It seem
notice,
too happy here.
yeah. It should be pointed out too that because you succeeded with a natural 8, you'll also notice that none of the other pentapods are really paying any attention whatsoever to Frank at this point.
Like, and they're not even in, like, banter or engagement.
Charles, I
can
think
stop.
your internet's getting a little wonky for a second there. You're kind of delaying a little.
It was great to start with, but he's pegged out now.
Yeah.
Yeah, hang on. Let me turn something off real quick.
Yep.
All right. So he's not even getting the whole, hey, hey, welcome to your day. How's things going? How's the wife and kids type of thing, huh?
No,
You're
he's
talking about
straight out
negotiator 4, yeah,
negotiator.
he's straight up talking.
Yeah.
But you also, like, keep in mind, like, some pentapods may not necessarily be very good. Well, let me rephrase that. So you know how Frank is kind of more humanly personable, approachable. This guy is, as he says, he's the leader. So he is more gen engineered to be the leader and not so much, salesman-y, if that makes any sense.
Right.
So yeah, he just straight up, he's like, I'm the guy in charge, and we're looking to establish trade relations with the British. I guess hit me with your shit.
I'm sure we could probably have that happen, but there's not that many people to come to this place. So, and I kind of point towards the Grimaldi and the other scientist lady, professor person, and go, really? There's only the people that come here are scientists to research things. I'm gonna go, hey Doc, help me out here. Come on, help me out here.
Yeah, I think
Drown, German boy, drown.
at which hearing that the Hellwig just looks at Wyatt over, and just rolls his eyes and just mutters something and
wait. When you roll your eyes, do you touch your nose and point at Frank?
Yeah, something like that.
So Jackie will kind of step up and she's like, yeah, so she will insinuate, because I don't know how exactly she might say this, and I don't want to end up having a conversation with myself for your guys' benefit, although I'm sure you guys would be amused, especially with pentapods involved. She basically steps up and says, yeah, we're not really, here for trade talks or what have you. And then the negotiator 4 will kind of politely, if that's a possibility, politely interject, and it will say, the messenger's worshippers are puzzled by the machine servitor human interest in digging tunneling holes to gather, harvest, pull rocks, metals. Our creation's constructs, developed, grown, designed here, are for this purpose cause interest. And then Jackie's like, yeah, no, listen, that's really exactly what we're not here for.
But another group may be here for that, just not us.
Yeah, and then Jackie's
we're not
like,
aware.
yeah,
this is.
Go ahead.
We were unaware the pentapods were here, so we are not in a position to discuss that. Does that make sense? You're new to us, and we have to go back home and tell them about what you're here for. We would love to. I can't make promises, but I very likely will probably set up trade relations with you here. But our group is about the buried. I forgot the damn ship's name. Durndal.
Yep, there you go. Durndal.
Our group is about the buried Durndal.
So I'm going to use this opportunity real quick.
Sure.
To say, perhaps an ambassador from your camp would be able to speed up this process if they were to return with us to Beowulf. And I immediately say, would Frank be available for that job?
Did you read ahead, you son of a bitch?
No, I did not.
You're dropping the clues, man.
I am trying. No, I'm trying my best to get Frank on our ship.
Nah, I'm fucking
right.
with you.
Well, and it's obvious that Frank's
and
kind of
just
a different.
Set it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like he's happy with dude. So I'm like, let's get him out of there.
Yeah, no, I think
some poor diplomat stuck in a mining thing up in Alaska during the gold rush, and he's
Yeah.
like, "I'm bored out of my mind. Get me out of here."
I think Frank is. I don't know what a pentapod would look like if he was to give a holy shit. I'm surprised you said that face. So he's definitely making a face in the back, and Negotiator 4 is looking at Frank and looking back at you. And actually, he's looking at 2 or 3 of you at once, and Frank and some other person in the room. So I think he hesitantly agrees that Frank maybe could go back, but he doesn't give a solid yes or no.
Okay.
And then
That's a.
go ahead.
I was gonna say that's a valid answer too. I mean, but we're offering that potential for him to travel with us to get back to where we need to.
What would you give in trade? Is what Jackie says based on the dozen words or so that come out of Negotiator 4's mouth that she semi-translates.
For us to work on trade relations for them? Is that what she's asking?
No, if Frank were to go with you, what would you leave behind?
What would we leave behind?
I think that's what he's saying. And then you look over at Negotiator 4, and you see a couple of his eye stalks doing the head bobby sort of thing.
Well, didn't, and I'm going to just say this and kind of in general, a stage whisper level to Wyatt and Milligan, go, didn't we leave like half of the biomass back of the ship or something like that for trade?
No, you brought all of it with you.
We brought all of it? Okay.
Yep. So we still have, I guess, 100 kilograms of dragon bat meat, but
and bone.
I mean,
meat product.
We are taking Frank to Beowulf to benefit them, to help open trade relations for them. The value from Frank going with us is getting that set up and increasing their profit.
Yeah, I don't think they have the concept of future return.
I'm sure they don't.
Yeah, I think we've established that to some extent they don't understand credit or line of credit, not in a literal sense like we do. I think the idea, I think they could be led to the idea because we haven't really established otherwise. But
we shouldn't be paying to help them.
Well, no. Think about it like a rental.
Well, here's okay. So Jackie actually kind of so this is what Jackie says, and I think she has a brief conversation with Negotiator, and then she looks at you. She says it's not so much that Negotiator is selling Frank to you guys or anything. It's more about the work that Frank was expected or obligated to do here. That if he goes somewhere else, he's not going to do, and the effort that we will have to take to replace Frank here.
Him. Yeah, that's understandable.
That's what they want. And I think, and she looks over at Negotiator again, and again, you see one of the eye stalks do the little bobby thing.
Okay, I give the Negotiator a thumbs up.
He gives you, he does something very similar with his one leg and I feel like there's like 3 toe claw things, so like one of the 3 extends while the other 2 remain curled as he lifts this 1 foot up. And if a pentapod could smile, it would, except it doesn't really have a outwardly facing mouth. And then
so would they take the dragon bat meat and bones in trade? And if so, how much?
We will take all of it because I know you don't want to take it back with you. And I think he just kind of extends that. I think he makes an implication, and Jackie kind of is a little slow to pick it up, but I think he makes the suggestion, as it were, that the value of all 100 kilos is more, but he is starting to grasp the idea of credit. And so he will take all of it with the understanding that in the future, you, this group, will owe him something in return to balance out the trade.
Wait, what? We're going to give him all the dragon meat, which is more than what it would really cost to get Frank to come with us. But in the future, we owe him more?
I may have said
Is
that,
that-
wrong.
Okay.
And that's me, legitimately. Like, so what he's trying to imply is that, or what I'm trying to say is, instead of 100 kilos, 10 kilos would have sufficed. But he's going to take all 90. I see where I made my mistake. So yeah, he's going to take all 90, and he's going to owe you something more in return at a future
Okay,
date.
he'll owe us more.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
yeah.
okay.
That's
all right.
that's what I should.
Okay.
That's what I've tried to say, but I screwed it up in my own head.
And that's fine, I say, because we have other things to discuss as well.
And he gives you that 2 eye stalks. They don't just swivel and turn and lock on you. They snap to you. And you see them both narrow their gaze as if to say, go on.
Okay. I say, so we've been to the Durandal, the metal in the ground. I think is how he referenced it previously.
No, that was in reference to the mining operation.
Oh, okay. Okay. And I say it's obvious, that your people have been there, and that's understandable. You wouldn't have had the patch if you hadn't been there. But there were some concerns that we had about what we found there. We found that some of the cargo appears to be missing, and we found that many of the bodies of the deceased crew members were missing as well.
And moved. Don't forget that they were
right.
moved. They were touched.
Missing, moved, and that 2 individuals that were in life support containers were also removed. And however many days ago that was. That was like in between our trips or something like that, I think. Or maybe before we even left the first time.
All right, so at this point, when you bring up the people that were in the cryo tubes and the bodies that were moved and how not all the bodies were found, etc., Frank and Negotiator will suddenly have a rather rapid conversation, and my cat is meowing in the background because my son is ignoring him, so I hope he's not being picked up too much. But yeah, Frank and Negotiator will have a very quick conversation in their own language or whatever. And then Frank will turn his eyes back to you guys, and he will say something quietly under his breath, so to speak. But it's in French, and I don't remember who speaks French. I know somebody does.
Yeah, I have a translation.
Wyatt speaks French, and Helwig speaks French, I believe.
I do too.
Okay,
yeah.
So for those that don't need it translated, what you hear him say in French is, I told him this was a bad idea. But he doesn't say it to you. He's muttering it under his breath in pentapod fashion, of course. And then he will switch back to English, and he will say, Salvage. And this is Frank saying that.
Okay.
And then Negotiator will actually kind of step on him. Not literally step on him, but like speaking-wise, step on him. And he will say, the machine servitor humans were found dead, undone. Their bodies' materials subject to laws, rules, understanding on human servitor laws of space void. Not in use, owners not present, abandoned. Subject to salvage recovery. At this point, Negotiator then points at one of the humanoid-ish servitor types, the ones that brought you the snackfish. And one of them will step forward, and the upper half of what must be a suit of some sort is peeled back. In the process of Negotiator doing this, Frank will actually step in and try to stop him. But one of the bishops, one of the ones that fired the screaming football spaghetti guns at you the last time you were here, will suddenly appear. Because he is literally, when I say this, I want to be perfectly clear, he literally walks through one of the walls of the habitat. And as he passes through the wall seals up immediately right behind him and grabs Frank and basically holds him in place. Underneath this suit is a human female.
Ew.
She is in a... I'm not sure if she's actually dressed or not, so let's just assume that maybe she is.
Oh, it's okay for her to be naked.
Oh,
Wow.
It's a party now.
Anyway, all right. Let's just assume that, I know more than what I'm telling right now, and I don't want to give away anything. Let's just assume for the moment that...
Do you want to take a break and just write it out first?
No. I'm just going to say it like this. Underneath the suit is Petty Officer so-and-so. Nicole Fournier. Fuck it. She's got a uniform on and looks a little bit degraded and been well worn, well used. But on her, she's got a name tag and it says N. Fournier. And she opens her mouth to speak, but all that comes out is some inane chattering similar to the kind of low-grade, similar to the kind of what the low-grade pentapod constructs use. So it's more Warhammer 40k. You'll know when I say this. It sounds a little bit like binoric, whatever the tech engineers, tech priests use to speak to each other. Binary
Right.
can't, whatever the fuck it is. But it's not that. It's just internet modem sounds almost, but not squealing. I don't know how to explain it. It's just gunky crap. And then at this point, as Negotiator is revealing this, he says further, we use this salvage recovery to create, learn, grow a template. And they captured the kernel as well. I want to be clear, kernel in this case, think of a kernel of corn, not a colonel as a military rank. They
Right.
captured the kernel as well. This one worker slave was created, grown, learned from the template pattern. We used a worker slave kernel to give it a mind abilities. At this point,
It's a clone.
yeah.
Is that something that humans in this universe, is that something we can do?
Not the humans.
Okay, so this is
before you go, hold that,
technology beyond us.
yeah, hold that thought before you go any further. At this point, I got like one last line or so here. At this point, the bishop will release Frank, who then runs over to your side. I'm imagining in my head that there's two groups having a conversation with each other, despite the small rooms and whatever. But basically, Frank runs over and joins your side, like physically, literally. And he says, I am so very sorry, Herd. I warned them that humans treat their dead differently, respectfully, not salvage.
Yeah. And so at this point, I turn to our good female doctor and say, you're up. Explain to them why these bodies are important. And when somebody dies, that's not the end of, what we want to do with their body. And we don't use them for biomass, but we honor them after they've died by, like I was talking to her before, with certain ceremonies and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we would like any bodies that they recovered from the ship returned to us so that we can return those to the people that made them. And I'm going to let her, I guess, I don't know. He understands me just fine, doesn't he?
Yeah, he speaks English fine.
Yeah.
I think the difference is his word selection is a lot more eclectic and varied and multiple lines of thought at once versus Frank, who's learned how to constrain it a little bit. The pentapod doesn't even wait for Jackie to say anything. He just kind of steps up, not literally, he doesn't physically move or whatever, but he does say, would you like them back returned?
I nod yes.
Yeah. So at this point, a lot of the pentapods in the room will withdraw, except for Frank. And he waits for a moment. And he says, well, hold on. This is the part of my notes that is actually mentioning that he needs to be bought out from his service for the Star Wars Vision sec, and I think we've already done that effectively.
Well, I don't want the negotiator to leave yet anyway. So if
he's left. He's left. So if you want to stop him, now's your time.
Yeah, no, I want to stop him. I said because there was one more thing that we didn't discover on the ship,
and another thing.
Yeah,
Columbo.
the last thing. And I talk about how it appeared to those there was cargo missing, and what we think is missing is really missing, and y'all have been there. Maybe you have it, and it is something very dangerous. And we want that. We want that as well.
You mean?
I'll override when Mulligan starts saying want that as well. It's like no. Just make sure that they're aware of what it is. That, they have FTL. They know what nukes are.
Do you use the word nukes when you say
Yeah.
this? Okay.
Yeah, he just did.
100%.
Okay, now just verifying. Because at this point, Negotiator does stop, and he is like literally, what's the word I'm looking for here? Intersecting the wall. So when he stops and turns, part of his body remains inside the wall, part of his body is inside the room. And he says, "We could not make the laser flower weapons work. We will return them." As a gesture, I'm not going to say that. My line was originally going to be something else. I'm going to change the line a little bit. We are going to return what we have as a apology for not understanding appropriately how to deal with your human dead.
I say that's very gracious.
And we are sorry, regret, we destroyed powdered one of them.
Oh,
Wait, what?
Nope.
Destroyed? What? What do you mean
So,
by that?
I mean, okay. No,
There's
it's fine.
so what
experiment
happened
or
was,
whatever. Yeah.
so he gives you a brief, I don't know, he just basically says, we tried to do an experiment with one of them. You'll notice, if you notice one of our domes, and he'll point with one of his legs down at the end of the other end of the base, it's, it's sick and dying. That was where we worked on the warhead to try to learn a little bit more about it and do some stuff with it. And, well, we reduced it to a powder and something escaped. And, well, containment breach.
No.
Containment breach escape, by the way, not like alien
have
mutated bullshit.
Just as long as you have an understanding that it's a device that releases a great amount of
Oh yes, no, we
radiation
are
and
very
heat.
about snorting uranium. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm picturing this in my head because they only have those 5 legs, so they just scoop a little bit onto like one of their little toe claws and then stick it up under their body. And I'm gonna stop right there.
Well, they just sit in it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the long and short of it is they ran some experiments on this warhead. When they realized it was causing problems, radiation leak or what have you, they powdered it and disposed of it. And that's why the one of the 3 domes on the one end had the open source, etc.
So it just got super cancer then.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
I mean, if you want to return them, that's fine. The important part is you understand that those are dangerous devices.
Oh yeah.
And they're made to be dangerous. So.
Oh, absolutely. And
Okay.
Negotiator definitely knows that. In fact, he actually tells you, as a tripod is coming from the other end of the base, and you can see this through like a window or something, because he'll point it out, and he'll notice that there is a tripod coming, and it looks like it's carrying what effectively looks like an ammo crate. Kind of large, but whatever. And he will say, well, the other warheads, we have them. We're getting them now, and their outer cases are now slightly irradiated. So take appropriate precautions. But imagine a Pentapod said that, and not me.
Okay.
And then the tripod will come, and so this is what happens. So the tripod comes. He sets the cases of warheads because, if you recall, there's the 22 individual spots for these boxes that were roughly a meter cube or something like that. He sets this case of boxes down that has the warheads in it. But he sets this case down several meters away from the habitat, and then the tripod turns and walks out of the Pentapod base and off into the distance, like across a mountain ridge, disappears, never to be seen again.
Oh.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So I'll use our suit's Geiger counter and just kind of like take a reading, see like how cancer is the cancer box. So like, is it banana cancerous? Is it X-ray cancerous? Is it demon core cancerous? Like,
it's giving you. I don't know what the numbers would be, but it's giving you the number. It says if you're gonna put this case on something like in a ship, you're gonna want to put it inside some sort of radiation-proof container to contain its radiation. It's not like.
okay.
Now, to be clear, it's not necessarily like you're going to die in 72 hours from radiation poisoning, but it's definitely exuding enough radiation that it is alarming and probably not safe.
Yeah, the French can have those back.
But yeah, so the short version is like, and I think Grimaldi or somebody, well, neither one of them really have any idea of what to do with nuclear material. So I think ultimately what you end up figuring out, or it's suggested at some point between somebody, that before these cases go on to the Grendelborn or into the ship, that they need to be put in, I'm going to say lead-lined box. I have no idea if that would actually work, but it needs to be put into, they need to be put into some sort of container that can contain the radiation and therefore not be dangerous while it's still in transit.
Okay.
So, how big is this box?
Big enough to hold 21 warheads to fit
How
those
big
missiles.
are the warheads?
I don't know. So I said in Discord the other day. This is what I said. I have no idea what the Ratage 2 actual specs are. If anybody wants to look it up, let's use that.
I have it right here. Yeah.
Do you have the Ratage 2 stuff? Because I couldn't
I was
find it.
just looking
earlier.
at it. I can look it up again real quick. It's a 144 kiloton warhead.
Right.
Each one of them.
Yeah, but how long is the overall missile length, and what's the diameter?
I don't know if it says that.
Because that's kind of like what I need to at least try to have an idea of what the warhead would be.
So typically in the real world, a real
there it is.
Not very big. I mean, it's about as big as a standard car jack, like you can go buy from Harbor Freight or from AutoZone or something like that to put in your.
They're not terribly large.
So, no, they're dense and they're heavy.
Yeah,
but, they're not.
So the missile weighs or displaces anyway 2 tons. How much it actually weighs, it doesn't say, and it doesn't give any kind of dimensions.
Let's go with that being its mass of, what did you say, 2 tons?
2 tons. Well, that means we've got.
That means you guys would have taken a very long time to cross the countryside.
Well, 44 tons of missile bodies, although it's not complete either.
No, but the warhead's not going to weigh a whole lot to change the overall weight of that.
Yeah.
I imagine your guys' warheads or the missile bodies are probably taking up the whole fucking.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because I'm picturing in my head something along the lines of like the missiles that get loaded onto fighters, which is probably a little small to be totally honest. It's probably close to the size. What's the Charles? Quick guesstimate. What's the size and or weight of something like, say, a Tomahawk? Is that the ship launch?
Tomahawk?
Is that the one? I'm thinking of?
That's a ship launch.
Yeah,
that's the one you're thinking of. It's not. I mean, it's a fairly big missile. It's about the size of a length of a Ford Focus, and weight wise, without Googling it, I would have to tell you.
I mean, if people were to move it by hand, would a couple of people be able to do it, or would you need like tools and winches and shit like that?
You would need tools and winches
because it's that heavy.
It's that heavy.
Yeah, the Grendel's like 0.7, right?
Yeah, but even then, gravity? But then it's not just the weight; it's also the mass.
A ton's 2,000 pounds, so 70% of that is 1,300.
So a standard Tomahawk's roughly about 3,000 pounds.
So 70% of that is like 20.
So we're gonna have to retcon some stuff a little bit here because that much weight would not have been very easy for you guys to move out of the ship by hoisting it up to the second deck and then out the front of the bridge and then across very rugged terrain onto the Grendelborn, getting all 22 missile bodies onto the Grendelborn in the time that you had done it. That sounds like quite infeasible. So we need to retcon a little bit.
We can say that it's just the stutter warps and not the missile bodies themselves.
That actually, the stutter warp, because if I'm not mistaken, the Ratage. Oh, hold on, my son's about to ask me something. Give me 1 second.
Oh, fine. Be an attentive father.
I mean, and just for reference, the a nuke warhead in modern day, like that would have fit on that thing is about 300 pounds. So
300 pounds would be a little bit more maneuverable. The pentapods, they took the warheads, Rodance. The warheads were stored in like one warhead to one warhead to a box, and the boxes were locked shells. They cut those. No, I'm sorry, they didn't take the warheads. You guys took the no. I'm getting
No, we took the missiles. There were no warheads.
You took the missiles and
something
you took the
else.
triggers. You guys had the triggers
Is that
were
what that
locked.
is?
Yeah, they had the
NTA?
warheads.
Oh, nuclear something nuclear trigger assembly. Is that what that stands for?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
Yeah.
yes because I'm pretty sure that is what it is without looking. But yeah, you guys had the triggers or what arms them. They had the actual warheads, and of course you also have the missile drives. And let's just say, for the sake of argument, the missile drives are in the neighborhood of a few hundred pounds because these are not the actual missiles. These are the drives. And what I was gonna say before my son had a question for me was that, if I'm not mistaken, the Ritage 2 in the lore, the Ritage 2 was basically an improved, or the problem the French were having was the drive capabilities. So we can argue, at least to a certain extent, if nothing else, that the Ritage 2 has improved drives, even though the rest of the missile components are more or less the same. Maybe a stronger warhead, but still basically the same size warhead, if that makes any sense.
The Ritage 2 is a Ritage 1 missile that they added a submunition to. That's what has the or is supposed to have the warhead in it. And they fly it just like they fly the Ritage 1. And if their opponent is weak enough, whatever, that the 5, laser blasts that the batteries provide for is enough to deal with the target, then they do that and they return the missile to the ship and reuse it. But if it needs a heavy hit, they launch that submunition, which hopefully destroys the ship they're shooting at. It's going to destroy the missile most likely because of the range involved. But so that's how that works. Yeah, from the original anyway.
All right, so for the sake of argument and final answer ish, you had in the Durandal that you guys found and then later moved to the Grendelborn, you had the missile drives, the stutter warp drives. You had the triggers for the nuclear warheads, what basically makes them active. And then the pentapods had the actual warheads. As far as any actual missile bodies, those maybe they were being transported on a separate ship.
Or that they were taking this stuff to the missile body manufacturer or whatever.
Yeah, something along those lines. Like they didn't have all of the complete missile components. They just had their part. Some other ship had the other mission of bringing the rest of the shit. That takes us to so now it's like, they brought the warheads out. They left it outside several meters away from the HAB building that you guys are in. They have just asked if you wanted the dead bodies or whatever. The original crew. Their bodies. You are told that those bodies are still in biostasis along with their colonels. And that they will shortly be brought back to you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I like to emphasize that we're not mad, we're not upset, and we're not offended. This is, we're getting to know each other, and there's going to be a learning process to that.
Yeah, no worries. The negotiator, still somewhat interposed with the wall, will turn. He'll agree or acknowledge or what have you, and then he'll turn and make his way away. Frank is the only pentapod in the room with you, and there are two things he wants. The first one is.
Is it his Magic of the Card Gathering collection?
No, it's actually his Pokemon. No, the first thing he brings up is that it was good, and he is thankful that you have effectively bought him out. And he'll spend a moment or two being very gratuitous in that way. That I didn't mean for that to suggest that he was doing anything other than being very thankful. He will then further point out that this information or knowledge that you guys have gained about the Pentapod Society, the Colonel, and the template, he is speaking in a very cautionary tone and a very concerned tone at the same time. He explains very briefly that the wrong people can easily abuse the Colonel and the template and make themselves effectively immortal or forever young. Not to quote the names of any songs or anything. He points out that the Frank he isn't the same Frank as previous iterations, but then also at the same time, he is the same Frank as previous iterations because of the kernel.
I asked him if there's
Okay. So the kernel's
multiple-
like the brain hard drive.
So what he tries to explain in his not so great way, and Dr. Smith Daniels also attempts to further unconfuddle everything, is that the template is a copy of the body. And when a new copy is made, the previous template is destroyed. The
Does it
kernel,
have
on
to
the
be?
other hand, can be created. I'm sorry, I got that backwards. The template can be copied and repeated indefinitely. The kernel is
Oh, okay.
copied. The copy lives on. The original is destroyed. But the cool part is once the kernel is copied, the template can be copied again as well. So basically, the process of creating a kernel destroys the original brain structure, but if a template is created first, then the brain can be rebuilt by a maker and the kernel copied back. Effectively, what we have here is the secret to not only eternal life, but eternal youth. And Frank is like very adamant about be very, very careful how you use that information, because what the rest of the pentapods, or this group at least, has not figured out is that some people will view that as a thing that they can control.
Oh yeah.
And that the Pentapod Society, generically speaking, and Frank has this kind of insight because he's had some dealings with humans in the past, you know, the normal Pentapod Society doesn't really understand that that's a thing that can happen, because for them, conceptually, culturally, abusing such a thing is not a thing they would understand, because it's so commonplace, so easy for everybody, etc., etc. I hope I'm making sense with all that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like
Yeah.
I kind of ran around in a circle a couple of times there.
I mean, that's probably the thing that's worth the most here, honestly.
Yeah.
But not if they all come out screaming like she did.
Well, she wasn't screaming. She just
Well,
wasn't,
whatever noise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And is that because she hasn't been taught language?
Correct. That would be more
Okay.
accurate.
Okay.
It would be more accurate that she hasn't been trained or conditioned or what have you,
Right.
because you have the replication process, but you still have to have some sort of conditioning or training or what have you for them to do whatever their particular task is. And in this case, that servitor role was what Nicole Fournier's role was just be mindless servant. We don't need you to do anything more complex. But of course, with the appropriate conditioning and other things, like eventually you can regrow your own body and mind and relearn everything you had learned before.
Will she, and you said there was 2 of those servitors in here, right?
Yeah.
I asked him, is the other crew member in that other one?
He will say yes, and that
Or
his
the
name was
copy
Mark.
or whatever.
Yeah, and he will say that one's name is Mark Hebert.
Okay. So the original bodies are no longer, they're gone because they created a kernel. So that destroyed the original bodies, right?
Remember, it's the kernel that is destroyed and being recopied. But because you can so the kernel is the soul, the mind, the intelligence. The brain is physical matter. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
The brain can be reproduced, but because the brain is being reproduced from an exact copy, a lot of the things that make the mind, the intangible part of the brain, are still there because it's rooted in physical matter. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you still have to like massage that not really physical matter to become the same type of mind it once was.
Right.
But effectively, like, it's still there. Like, it just needs to be cultivated a little bit.
Okay. So they do have the original bodies then.
Presumably.
Okay. And they were going to return those to us.
Yeah.
Is
Let's
what
just
the
say they're going to
negotiators
bring
said.
you the
Okay.
original biomass. The kernels some of the kernels have been created or what have you, but
Now, I'm not going to ask him for the kernels. I do tell Frank that that's unnerving to some degree.
that
to
should
a
be
human.
very fucking unnerving.
Right.
Shit.
So
in the
this means that
future,
all
it would-
pentapods are basically immortal.
I
Yeah,
mean,
probably
if you
so,
want to, I
yeah.
mean, depending on your definition of immortal, yes. Because, so basically, when a pentapod dies, it can easily be and here's the other thing. Not only can a pentapod live forever, but every time it dies and is reborn, it can be put into a new role, new position, new body. Not just a new body, but a new type of body. What was once a dome today could be an airship tomorrow. Maybe not that fast. Hold on one second. My son's trying to get my attention again.
God, such an attentive father.
I'm streaming, so I don't want him to feel like I'm completely ignorant of him. But yeah, so like so that's the weird part or cool part or maybe scary part, depending on how you want to look at it. When you look at a pentapod standing, like Frank, for instance, when Frank dies, Frank can be reborn, and then his brain can can cultivate a new kernel. That new kernel can then be put into a different body altogether. A bishop, for instance, or an Archie airship, or fuck, who knows what, a missile. Like, it could be put into anything that a pentapod would build, and that's his new existence. Until that one goes, and they decide to rebuild him.
Huh.
And we keep doing that until we run out of the bodies.
Well, now you also know why they need biomass.
Yeah.
Or at least have a need for biomass, because
I
I don't know if they
so-
have like any sort of reproductive process similar to, humans or whatever.
No, I think from what I remember reading the lore, they're effectively they're like a starfish or something else like that. You know, they kind of subdivide that way, and that's how they get back and forth between their abilities. But anywho's
Yeah. I just noticed it is also about 20 minutes to 10, and I feel like this is probably a good spot to start wrapping up. So I want to do a quick consideration of what's going to happen next. I think what we're looking at is, we're waiting for the bodies and whatever in the war. We already have the warheads. We're basically waiting on the bodies at this point to be brought back. And then I imagine you guys are going to more or less beat feet to Llewellyn Station. Does that sound right? Is there anything else you guys want to do here at the Pentapod
we never
base?
got an answer to what the resin was in the vault. At least I don't think we did. Did I miss that?
No, we didn't.
No.
And I never really know. I don't know what it is, so I'm going to make a GM decision and say that they used that resin at some point in time to... Maybe it was like some sort of lifting or traversing gear, something they used to extricate the missile parts that he pulled out, or to get through the door, and then this is what was left behind. Not necessarily pentapod poo. You know what? Fuck it, because I know you want it to be pentapod shit. It's pentapod shit. Are you happy now?
No.
I know Wiggles wants it to be pentapod shit. He's been saying pentapod shit for like 3 episodes now.
Well, pentapod shit is what they use to make those radio fish.
Yeah.
It's the fertilizer for him.
I mean, like, people drink, coffee that's from poop. So,
Sadly, he's not wrong.
Ugh.
I mean,
But yeah, so
it's not
effectively,
choco nuts, but
what'd you say?
I said it's not choco nuts, but it's
It's a chunk of something.
yeah.
Yeah. So effectively, it's the byproduct left behind of the pentapod goop stuff that they were using to extract all that stuff. Was there
Yeah, I
anything
get you.
else? Was there
I have
anything?
one question
Go ahead.
about the radiation level,
Uh-huh.
and I know it doesn't sound like you actually have it, but maybe they didn't tell you.
No,
Is
it's not listed.
If we stuff them into hazard suits, would the radiation protective in the hazard suit be enough to contain? It would ruin the hazard suits, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It would.
oh,
I will.
there's
I
actually
will.
a way
ahead.
simpler solution
But
to protect
Okay,
us from
go for it.
radiation. We make a bigger box. We put a little stand inside the box, and we fill the box with water.
Doesn't that have to be heavy water?
No, any water.
Any water?
No,
I don't know much about nuclear radiation, but I feel like
so-
he's
so
not
it-
far
it
off
can
the
be-
mark.
so heavy water is actually used in the production of nuclear materials. All we
Yes.
got to do to store it safely, as long as it's contained inside its case, is just go put it inside of a lead lined case, and if not getting taken that, then we just double box it and try to reduce our chances of exposure. So
Yeah.
it's
So what matters for radiation protection is matter density.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
good old HO2, pretty dense.
H2O.
I mean, I keep on trying to tell it about the themes of One Piece, and it just doesn't fucking get it.
The funny thing is water actually has, this is gonna sound kind of silly perhaps, but in a lot of areas of like chemical, biological, radioactive, etc., like water is actually pretty good about cleaning out things. The problem is you also need a sufficient amount of time. And the problem with that is the definition of the word sufficient, because it could be a very long time before water removes all of the contaminant.
Yeah, I'm not trying to ruin the contaminant. I'm just
No,
I'm just
I
trying
was
to make
speaking
that,
more like generically. My son also
Oh,
wants
yeah.
my attention again, so give me just a quick second, guys.
Jesus Christ, such an attentive father. Doesn't yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. Anyway, so like at nuclear power production facilities, they actually hold the waste material inside a water pool. The
Yep.
water pool itself isn't radioactive. It's a really good shielding mechanism.
Oh yeah.
All right, anything else at the Pentapod base?
And yeah,
Uh,
and some of the designs for like the Inter-Earth Mars ship that we build in real life will probably use wastewater as part of its rad shielding.
so I don't think we need
That's an
anything
interesting
else.
concept, actually. But anyway,
I don't think we need anything else at the Pentapod station right now. I mean, sort of,
Do
if
they got
they
like a
have,
shirt? I went to the
If we have-
Pentapod station, and all I got was a stupid shirt.
I'm sure they can
No,
grow
so-
one for you.
yeah.
Pentapod goo.
Oh God. I mean, short of like hanging out there for another day of recovery. I think we would want to be trying to get out of Dodge.
Yeah, we only have like a week, so we need to get back because we're gonna have to mothball the base and everything before we leave.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we're done, and we'll radio head to the people left on the base and tell them to start getting start getting the
Unfortunately,
base
you're-
mothballed.
You don't have sufficient communication capabilities with them right now. For
Yeah, they're
any number
all-
of reasons. Any number of reasons. Not necessarily anything, nefarious or weird or
Well,
whatever.
and
It's just
I thought we took everybody with us.
no, there is.
No.
You have Kirsty Blaine, you have
that's right,
Marshall
that's right, the
Tran,
action
you
team.
have Paul Gray, and you have Tillman and
let's-
Mrs. White.
And Mrs. White, the most important NPC.
Some
Right?
people may disagree, but she is your character's wife, so that makes sense. But yeah, so all right, so let me go through my notes really quick just to see if we're not missing anything terribly important right now. So the last thing we'll have, and I'll have to remember this, or I'll have to reference this next week. But so about 45 minutes to an hour or so later, the rest of the bodies are brought up. Nicole Fournier and Mark Hebert are the only two quote-unquote surviving members of the crew. These were the ones that were in the two cryopods that theoretically could have survived this entire time, assuming they still had power and that stuff. Unfortunately, both of them, they're both dropped naked from the tripod that brings them over. They are dropped naked, and they are both in shock, and they are not very good at responding to any stimuli. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. They will be in shock, and the last thing that they remember is being ordered into the hibernation chambers by their captain. For all intents and purposes, for the rest of this adventure, which may or may not conclude next week, they will react to stimuli, but little else. They are going to be more or less living baggage, and I hate to say that about people, but they're not going to be much use for anything beyond that, because of their current condition and whatnot. As you are preparing to leave the Pentapod base, Negotiator 4 will come up one final time to talk with you guys, and it will say, catatonic from shock, yes, thank you, Rodance. It will say that the weather conditions are going to get very bad very soon. They have been on Grendel for the last 2 years, 2 standard years, and they have experienced 3 winters. They know what they're talking about. Of course, Grimaldi's kind of doing a bit of an eye roll himself because he's also been here for a little while. Negotiator 4 will advise. I'm going to pull this map up really quick so you guys know exactly what I'm talking about here. This one. Oh, Jesus Christ, that's big. That's what she said. Okay.
Giggity.
Yeah. Negotiator 4 is going to suggest that you guys take Route 4. This is the one. So here's the Pentapod base here. Here is Llewellyn Station here. This was the one that you guys kind of wanted to take initially, except for this one problem. From here to here is underground. But Negotiator says this route is the, obviously it's the most direct route, and it does go underneath, underground for about 50 kilometers. The passage is wide enough for your crawler. And when he says that, it's wide enough for your crawler, he points to your crawler to indicate that he's trying to otherwise insinuate that he knows what he's talking about when it comes to saying that your crawler will fit.
I'm good. If he sounds like he's the local that knows what he's talking about, and then I'm gonna look at everyone else and say, if he says it, we can do it. I'm game. The sooner I can get off this iceberg, and the sooner I can get, the sooner I can get back to like real land.
Real land. This is real land. This is a real planet. It's just fucking cold here.
It's just the scariest place that imaginable. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
I don't know, that station that had the psychic flower that was mind controlling people. I mean, that was pretty scary.
It was also in space.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Nice callback to early first season content.
Right. Yeah. So let's just get going to get out of here. I'm good with that. I am not going to be hurt if we decide to risk it.
Yeah,
Milligan,
no.
Milligan, do you have some input you want to throw down here?
I mean, it does look like the shortest route on the map, and that's why we considered it.
I can tell you as the GM, it is the shortest route. Just FYI.
How long did it take us to use Route 3?
I think I went with something along the lines of it was. I don't remember specifically.
5 or 6 total party kills.
Was it 3 days?
It was.
I can't
it was
remember.
a couple days. Yeah, it was at least 2 days. I think it was one full day and part of the night or something along those lines on Grendel time. Because when you guys showed up at the Pentapod base initially, it was local sunrise. So you definitely drove quite a bit through the night. I feel like you definitely did some daytime driving, but not a lot maybe. I will say if you take, so let's just assume that was 3 days, right? If you take Route 4, you could probably be back at the station within about a day to a day and a half of standard time, not local sunrise sunset time. It is now, at this point, by the way, you start to see pre-dawn in the sky. So, it's starting to lighten up, but it's still pretty dark out.
Well, we
And
know
I'm
Route
just gonna
3
be
is safe. It's just longer.
It's much longer, yeah.
So, and we do have limited time, but even taking Route 3 gets us back with 4 days to spare, which is plenty of time to mothball the station and get the hell out of here. I don't know.
Grimaldi,
Go the route.
I'm sorry.
Go the route we know, or go the route they suggest is the question.
Grimaldi said.
I
Grimaldi and
like
Jackie
the
both are kind of leaning towards taking Route 4 because
Okay.
I think Grimaldi is anxious to get back so he can start working on whatever he's going to be able to capitalize on from this expedition. I think Jackie at this point is kind of like, this is cool and all, but I really would like to get back home to see my cats or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I say, oh, we were going to leave you here.
No, you were
No,
not.
that's a
No, you
bad
were not.
joke.
In fact,
And I just laughed.
when you say that, and she's like, no, you will not. She immediately turns and starts walking, not hoofing it, not booking it, not running, but she's moving at a fairly consistent pace directly to the Grendel barn, and she's kind of like, fuck you guys. She's not saying that, of course. But she's like, no, you will not. And she starts walking right to the Grendel barn.
No, I don't feel like the pentapods are giving us a raw deal. They say that's a route that we can safely take, then that's a route we can safely take. I think this has overall been a really positive meeting between us.
Other than the possibility of immortality and eternal youth and the weirdness about it.
They could make so much money with that.
They could, but keep in mind, like culturally, conceptually, that's not a thing. It never occurred to them to do that. And only when Frank brought it up is it ever been an idea that somebody might use it for their own benefit, let alone profit or anything like that. Frank is the only one that has had that thought, and only because he's had some interaction with humanity beforehand.
So you're saying is that I can take my 6-year-old body and then go get a 27-year-old body with the same brain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very literally in this context, yes.
Nah,
We
good.
all need some of that.
Yeah. In this case, this is very much I wish I knew then what I knew now. Except you can actually make it happen. Short of the time
could
travel.
definitely come back here. I don't know how much rancid beef I have to bring to her to make that a thing, but
maybe bring a whole herd of cows living.
I would say, maybe it's more along the lines of like offer to give him your dead body every time you want to make one of these exchanges. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I won't have any use for it.
Right.
All right, let's get back on track real quick. So we are going to take Route 4. Is that correct?
Sure.
Yep.
I mean,
That's what it sounds like.
I'm cool with that.
Milligan.
Totally cool.
Milligan.
I said sure. Yeah.
Okay. All righty.
I mean, I'm paranoid. You know that. So.
Oh yeah, but that's Milligan and also you.
Right.
So
yeah. No, it's not me. It's Milligan.
It's not just Milligan. I know this GM now.
So yeah, to me, it's like Route 3 is the path we know. We didn't have too terribly much trouble on it.
Yeah, the worst part about Path 3 was it
Yeah.
took forever because somebody kept rolling shitty.
Yeah.
All right,
You
so
won't have to roll so many times.
We'll wrap it there
Okay.
as you guys are preparing to make your exit of the Pentapod base. And that means it's time for closeout and feedback, starting with Charles.
As we see the sun set on the Pentapod base, I think this is kind of interesting with the whole, different clans of the Pentapods. I never really thought of it like that, but that's an interesting take on that. And for closeouts, definitely gonna say the turkey overdose is gonna happen tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if I'm prepared for that yet.
Oh, I plan on definitely getting a nap right about 3:00.
Right.
Only because I know dinner's at 2. So. All right. Wiggles, what do you got for feedback? What do you got for outros?
Feedback was fine. I had fun with my double entendre speak thing.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I had a good time. I like where this is going. I'm having fun talking to the Pentapods.
Pentapods are fucking creepy, man, but they're also kind of cool in their own way.
Yeah, they're cool aliens. I like cool aliens. I don't know. I was working on a spreadsheet recently, and it was not working correctly. I had a filter set up, and it just wouldn't capture all the elements I wanted to capture. And I got really stymie and confused for an hour, and then it turned out there's a bunch of white spaces hidden inside a line break. So that's why I couldn't fucking see them.
That's wild.
All I heard was nerd speak.
Yeah. All right. And
you play a space game.
Yeah, we're all nerds here. It's okay. Thurgor, what do you got for feedback? What do you got for outro?
I want to play for 3 more hours.
No, unfortunately, we cannot. The irony is, I have the content prepped, but we are out of time, and I have stuff to do.
Oh yeah. I think it was a great show tonight. Even though we kept getting ourselves derailed a little bit.
Yeah, there was
You know, we
definitely
didn't-
some
we didn't
derailment
accomplish as
tonight.
much. Right, we didn't accomplish as much as we've accomplished in some past sessions, but we had a good time doing it. So
I feel like
that's
tonight
what
is a
matters.
matter of we didn't have a lot of reveals, but we had one big reveal regarding the pentapods and their immortality, youthfulness.
Yep.
So there is that, but there is more to come. Anyway, I kind of interjected on you. Go ahead, please continue.
No, I mean that was pretty much it.
Okay.
Had a great time. Thank you for the game, and look forward to it next week.
Awesome. All right, my friends, that is it for this week. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for helping out. Thanks for doing whatever it is you did, even if you just lurked in the shadows or, whatever it was. I don't know. I already lost my train of thought for closing out. That's how fucking lame my brain can get. We have no streaming events planned outside of my holiday run of Hardspace Shipbreaker, which is basically any evening that I have available where I'm not doing anything else, streaming something, recording something, or other stuff off the computer. I'll be streaming that probably starting around 7 Pacific and going until about 9 o'clock Pacific. Hardspace Shipbreaker. What?
So there's a possibility we won't be playing next week because that's my actual brother's birthday, so we might be doing
That's right.
stuff.
I do remember that. You did say that. So more to follow on whether or not we are here on the 29th, but if we're not, we will certainly be here on the 29th plus 7 minus 5.
Yeah,
1,
yeah,
2,
okay,
3,
that
4,
makes all
5.
make sense.
Yeah, the 6th, I think it is. Whatever the next Wednesday is after that. I was trying to figure out how to do how to count monthly days. Almost worked, but I fucked it up because I thought too hard. At any rate, of course we have Celasta scheduled for the 27th. Second Star probably not on the 29th. Stay tuned to the Discord to find out for sure as we get closer to that date. I think we may or may not just make the call, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, I think that's all I got. And I think at this point, if I keep talking, it's just going to be totally mindless rambling, and none of us want that. So thank you, my friends, for stopping by and hanging out. Make sure you stay safe out in this crazy dark world of ours. Make sure you got to do what you have to do for you and yours. And as for me and mine, we're out of here. Have a good one, friends.